Welcome, everyone, to Talk with Sally. I hope that you guys all had an amazing day. Today, as soon as he arrives, Drex is going to be joining me. We are going to be talking about Nala. I'm not sure if you guys all know who she is. She is an ex OnlyFans person. Hold on just a second. There we go. She is an ex OnlyFans girl, and she has quite a bit of controversy going on right now in mainstream media because how could this person, do OnlyFans, do people pay her for a service? How is she now allowed to be a Christian and be forgiven for whatever and lead a happy normal life? So I want to give some context. So from everything that I have gathered and everything that I have learned from her is that she was original. So she grew up with a dad that they were not super religious. When she was about 11 years old, there was a tornado, and I believe this was in Florida from my understanding. There was a tornado that went through their town and destroyed their home. And I don't know if her and her both her parents had issues prior to um sorry, a squirrel moment. I don't know if they had marital problems. I don't know what they were. She is the middle child of 5. And so after this tornado, her parents end up getting divorced. And they split up for whatever reason. I don't know what the reasons are. She did not go into detail. So her parents, I don't know if it was when she was 12 or around 13ish. So the time frames, don't quote me on the exact ages, but it was around that time. So her parents reconcile, they get back together, and they get married. And then her dad decides that he is going to get super religious. He becomes a pastor, and I don't know what denomination they are, and that doesn't really matter to me. So anyway, so she's a middle child, and she's forced to go to church all the time, be greeted, she has to go early, like she's homeschooled. Her whole life is surrounded by this religious thing, right? Her mother apparently is someone who is not affectionate, doesn't really hug, doesn't really show a ton of affection as far as that goes. And if you're someone who needs that kind of love and that kind of affirmation, sometimes you rebel. The pastor's daughters are usually the ones that go off of the deep end. They're the ones who do things that they normally wouldn't. And is it because I'm told not to do this? Am I doing it for attention? I don't know. I am not in her head. I don't know anything like that. So she goes to right out of high school, but at the age of 18, she goes out and she goes to college. She wants to, I think she was going to be a dental assistant or dentist because that she liked teeth. For whatever reason, she always had a good experience at the dentist. So that's what she wanted. So somewhere along the way, she ended up working for a doctor, setting up appointments. And I don't know if she was selling medical equipment or if she was like a surgical assistant. That part I can't remember the exact details of. And then somewhere along that line, she starts doing, what is it? I always forget these names because I've never been on Instagram. I created an account years and years ago to share pictures of my kids and with friends, and it's completely evolved from that type of thing. So I guess she started Instagram and she did a bunch of TikTok stuff from my understanding of everything. Well, one thing leads to another, and this world creates this thing called OnlyFans. And I will tell you that I had no idea until a year ago what OnlyFans was. And I was like, what's OnlyFans? And then someone joked around and said, well, that is OnlyFeet. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Okay. But no, so then someone explains to me what it is. And I am a Christian. I grew up Christian. I grew up very sheltered because I looked like I was at 12 years of age. So I'm 5'11", by the time I was in 12 years old, I was 5'9", so generally, I looked like I was a lot older. Yes. Claimed change does not equal real change. So that is from Law of Self-Defense, and you're 100% correct. And if you wanna join the show, Drex is coming on. If you would like to join as well, you're welcome to give me your input and your insights. Um, and if just let me know in the chat and I will send you a link. Anyway, yes, so she claims change. We'll get into that. So she's already very versed in scripture for whatever I don't know. Like I said, every religion is different. We believe in a Bible and we believe in other things. And like I don't want to make it about I don't want to make it about religion. I'm gonna send Bronca a link because I have a different opinion of things, and Bronca has his opinion of things as well. Um, and I neither one of them is necessarily right, but I think we think a lot along the same lines. I think I think more forgiving, giving people chances, and I'm the eternal optimist, and that sometimes gets me burned. So I'm gonna send him a link real quick. Give me 3 seconds. By the way, while I'm doing this, I want to say hi to everyone that is joining me today. Um, whether you're on X, this is I do not, you can just be you. Law of self defense. I appreciate you. I completely understand that you come from a different position, and I appreciate different points of view because I do think a certain way. Yeah, I do understand things from a man's perspective as well, but it's always good to have an actual man give me your perspective because I want it to be a conversation. Let's see, I'm having a squirrel moment. I got to copy the link first. Here we go. There we go. Now I got to go over to messages. 3 seconds, guys. Mhm. Why is it not pulling up my messages? What the heck? That's being really oh, there we go. Alright, here we go. Alright, so Kyle, welcome. Thank you for being here nice and early. Julian, thanks for being here. I hope you are feeling well today. I was kind of worried about you. You can't go all day long and not check in, because I do care. Anyway, guys, I was saying thanks to everyone who is here on X, everyone that is on YouTube and on Rumble. It's the first time I don't stumble to all 3 platforms very often just because, I like to speak freely and I like to be very open-minded about things, and I don't wanna have to choose which words I use. I wanted to be able to just to describe them accurately. Anyway, so let's get more on to the Nala as we're waiting for guests to arrive. So let me pull up a picture of her real quick. Let's see. We will go to there's a if you guys know who Ari Jacobs is, Little Miss Jacobs on Twitter, she has a lot of different input on this. So I'm gonna go pull up some of the stuff on her site. So you kind of get to know who she is. What does two mean? No, you can join now. I thought Drex was gonna be on time. I sent him a message, but I guess I try to start my stuff on time. You can come in whenever you would like. If you wanna wait for Drex, you're welcome to do that, and if not, I will just continue to give the backstory of who she is. Um, whatever. So there might be an issue. I don't know if he's an on-time person or not, so we'll just go with the flow of things. I know that he was gonna be close to getting home from work, so you just let me know. Alright, so let me pull up her count real quick, guys. Hold on. So the whole internet has blown up over whether she's changed or not. And I'm of the opinion that actions that speak louder than words. And that is really what people should go by. But maybe someone else can give me different insight. Why can't I find this account? Sometimes I don't ever use Twitter from I don't ever use Twitter from my computer, so when I do, I feel like I'm lost. I always use my phone. But I don't know if you guys know who she is. You guys probably should by now. Oh my gosh, why can't I find this? Bear with me. Bear with me, everyone. I usually have all this stuff. Drex works on Waffle House time. Probably. I don't know. I was worried about. I try to start on time, and I usually have always a backup plan in case someone's not here right away. And I didn't have one tonight. I had what I wanted to talk about tonight, but not. So lessons learned. Always have your backup plan and have all your screens already shared, so you're not searching down trying to find them later. All right, hold on. Why does search not work on this stupid thing? Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. I got it. I got it. I got it. Yay. So let's pull up some pictures. There's a lot of stuff on here. You guys could take it for what it's worth. How old is that one? So yeah, so apparently she's already married, guys. Well, I guess she got married. So she went on this big tour. So anyway, so she does OnlyFans. I didn't finish telling you what her life was. I got distracted by Brinka. So let's just back up for just a minute. So she gets done with the dental school, and then no, she didn't finish. She quit. She quits doing that, and then she's working for. I don't know if she's a surgical assistant or if she's one of those people that sells surgical equipment to doctors. Very motivated. She gets into Instagram, which eventually led into OnlyFans. And then it started out with just sending lewd pictures, and then from there, it progressed into other stuff and other stuff and other stuff. So kind of like the thing where money corrupts, and money corrupts absolutely, where you just keep on going down this path of more and more and more. I will pay you this much money to do this. I will pay you this much money to do that. And so it just goes down this path. And for whatever reason, she's been in poor relationships, of course, since she has started doing OnlyFans. Her family has completely, her brothers, her sisters completely cut her off. And then, so, she's got money. So I don't know if she cared or didn't care. I don't know what her thought process was going through that. And I'm not going to try to guess what she was thinking. So she goes from bad relationship. And I can imagine that the type of people who engage in that type of thing are not going down a path that is going to sustain a family, in my opinion. I don't know. I personally I wouldn't do it because that's just me, and I just wouldn't feel comfortable. My moral compass wouldn't let me do it. So that's me. So I don't see how. So she meets this guy. She's already got a Christian background. She already knows the Bible, has it memorized, whatever. And they end up. He's like, you need to find Christ in order for me to be with you. And then, so it goes down this huge path. And I'm going to bring up Bronca because then we can have a back and forth conversation. I've listened to the Knowles show, which I don't know what his objective is. And you have to always remember that when you listen to a recording or an interview, it was a 9-hour interview, and he summarized it into 2.5 hours. So would that be, he left. Okay, I'll wait for him to come back. All right, when you come back, I'll wait for your picture to come on, Branka. So anyway, that's just for me. In a relationship, here, he's back. So I'll pull him up right now at the stage. Welcome. How are you?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
How was your... Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Yeah, hold on.
You're fine.
Is that better?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you very much. How's your day? Can you hear me?
Productive. I'm sorry. It's been a very long day. I'm a little tired. I probably shouldn't have come on. I don't mean to bring down your show, but maybe I have something to add. So,
well, I always appreciate that your perspective, because you do bring a different we get into these echo chambers and we start thinking a certain way, and this way is the right way. And I don't know, because I only have I think like a man, but I still come from a woman's perspective and an eternal optimist. And I'm not saying that you're not an optimist, but you have a different reality than I do and more life experiences. Are you
More?
familiar with this?
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that you're about 18 years older than I, probably like 15 is all. That would be all.
Yeah, probably more. Now, just to be clear, are we talking about the young woman with the bright red hair?
Yes, yep.
Okay, all right.
It would be
Just to
Nala.
make sure we're on the same page.
Yes. So, so I don't know. Do you know this? So you just listen to me give you the background from what I know from the interview that she did with Noel, or no, you know, who Knowles is. What is
I mean, I
Michael
kind of
Knowles.
vaguely know who he is. I've never seen his content. I mean, I know who he is.
Yeah.
Like I know who Ben Shapiro is, and I know who Steven Crowder is just because I see their names, but I've never watched any of their content. I mean, I'm nothing negative about them. I wouldn't want people to think I really know who they are. To me, they're just names on the internet. So I happen to know that Knowles interviewed her because I saw a thumbnail someplace on YouTube. And I would just say, first of all, for this woman with the red hair, however she wants her to live her life is fine with me. I mean, I don't care. It's a free country. If she wants to be on OnlyFans, it's fine. If she doesn't want to be on OnlyFans, that's fine too. If she wants to be a Christian woman, it's okay with me. I don't really care. But as a general matter, when people live much of their adult lives in one manner, and then they suddenly snap their fingers and they say, well, I've completely changed to something different, color me skeptical. I mean, most people don't have that kind of transformation, or if they do claim it, it's not real.
I wonder how long. I don't know how long this transformation. I mean, it might seem overnight to us, but apparently she was seeing this guy. She met him on. I don't know. She must have met him on Instagram, but she'd met him, and he's a geek gamer, and she's I guess a geek gamer on the side. I don't know, at heart. But he was very religious, and he's like, I don't want to be with you unless you find, Christ and change your ways. And I mean, doing something for someone else will never work out, because if you are who you are at the core, you still are who you are. So she, at the core, a Christian because she was raised that way and has a certain values, and she strayed and just really didn't give a crap about anything or anyone for a long time.
Well, she strayed.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of minimizing it. I mean, she strayed for $9 million worth of OnlyFans. That's a bit of straying. That's not like a one night stand bad decision you don't repeat.
No. It was 6 years. So she was 20 when she started doing it.
Okay, 6 years is a college degree and a master's degree, right?
Correct.
Combined. Except she got those degrees in whatever they do in OnlyFans. I've actually never seen it, but I've heard.
Yeah, I have never registered for OnlyFans. I've never clicked on OnlyFans. So I don't know. From my perspective, I don't see it. So I'm just saying as a society, go ahead.
I'm completely open to the notion that she's found Christ and completely reformed her life. But, it's generally, in my experience, my older experience, as you so kindly put it, that it's generally imprudent to judge people by what they say. It's more prudent to judge people by what they do. And she hasn't really had the opportunity to do much as this new person.
That's the way I think. Like I judge people by their actions. There's people who don't get along online, and I don't care how someone treats me and how I communicate with them. That's how I judge them. I judge them by their character in real life, how they interact with other people, how they treat other people. That's how I judge people. And yeah, there's not enough time to judge. But this internet is like, I've listened to a couple different people, and I'm just like, I really try to stay away from drama. It's just not like tearing people down it's just not my thing. But everyone just seems to be freaking out about it. And is there a different perspective? Do you feel like people are just is it just an attention thing where all these people feel like they have to, oh, she's still the same old, I'll say the word whore. That's what they call her. She's still a whore. She'll always be a whore. She was, but can people change? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, they can in theory, but I think we need to keep in mind too what we mean by salvation or finding Christ. Those are things that God does. God recognizes that you've changed, and in God's eyes, you can be as perfect as you can possibly be in God's eyes. He can accept your transformation and your acceptance of Christ. But you're being saved by God. God forgives all. The rest of us are all just human beings. And we've all been fooled by people before. Most of us have known drug addicts or prostitutes or degenerate gamblers or, people with bad life behaviors who suddenly come to us and claim they've completely transformed. They're completely different than they always were before. And it turns out it's not really true. It was a facade. So we've learned to be skeptical of people who have certain spots for their entire adult lives and then suddenly decide to announce they've completely changed and they're reformed. Now, if God has found them, well, that's between them and God. I have nothing to do with that relationship. But if they're asking me to behave differently because of something they're claiming to do, then I have a privilege to be skeptical about that.
I agree with that. Like I think that was the point that I tried to make is like, you can forgive someone for whatever they do, but trust doesn't always come along with forgiveness. Like I can forgive someone for saying something or doing something to me. It doesn't mean I have to trust them going forward in my life. And hey, you're a changed person. Let's go gambling and give me all your, if someone screwed me over before.
Right, no, two different things. So I've had people who've stolen from me and I've forgiven them. I've completely forgiven them. But it wouldn't, it's not like I think they're not going to steal from me again. I mean, I know they would if they were given the opportunity. That it turns out that's what their nature is. But I don't, it's not that I haven't forgiven them I don't hate them for it. I just recognize their nature.
Yeah. So you were saying skeptical, but I just didn't turn to use that word with trust, because to me that most people know the word trust. Just because you forgive someone doesn't mean you'll trust them to come back into your home. Right.
No, listen, if they're truly saved, that's between them and God. What do they care what I think?
Exactly. So anyway, I don't know. The Michael Knowles thing was really long, and I'm going to be honest. It was for me, it was a kind of a boring interview. I don't feel like he gave a lot of pushback. But originally, it started when Pearl went on to his show, and she's like, "Oh, that person's fake. She's not real." You know how this conversation went.
I have to say that if I think if Pearl and Knowles were to take IQ tests, that Knowles would probably score substantially higher. But I find Pearl to be way more entertaining than anything Knowles I've ever seen him do.
Yes, I've only seen a clip of him with Pearl and a clip, and then I didn't watch, but I listened to it yesterday because Ari Jacobs did a thing on it yesterday, and I was listening to it, but I was actually paying attention. And I have these people that are having an opinion on things, but they're not actually paying attention to the questions and the actual answers given. Like they only hear bits and pieces of it. They're not really paying attention. So they're making a judgment based off of partial information and not really I mean, I don't really, honestly, I don't care about what she's done. Like for me, it does not impact my life. It doesn't, her changing or not changing does not impact me at all. And everyone is making it about a grift. And I'm sorry, I don't know a person on the internet that's not grifting. I don't know a single person. They're like, this is just a grift. But if she's walking away from $2 million
but sure,
a year,
but if that's your position, then why, if we presume everyone's grifting, then why wouldn't we presume she's still grifting?
Correct. That's why my point was
just a different grift. She changed it up, either because
yes,
I don't know, maybe she felt she was aging out of OnlyFans. There's a new 18-year-old coming off the assembly line every day, right? Yep. So you're an OnlyFans model. You're not doing that till you're 60, right? You age out eventually, and you see the competition coming behind you. And if you're smart, maybe you leave at your peak and you transition to another grift. I don't know that anyone is doing that, of course, but it wouldn't be a bad business plan.
Yeah. So I guess my point, I guess I'm trying to formulate my thoughts. So for me, it was like, there's these people on the internet calling her a new grift. She's walking away from $2 million a year to
is
maybe.
If she's transitioning to a new grift, is she walking away from anything, or she's just, I don't know. Her
grift was pretty lucrative. I mean, doing OnlyFans was pretty lucrative. I don't see if she were to. She said she was going to do like start a TikTok. Was it a TikTok?
Well, I don't care what she says she's doing. What's she actually doing?
Well, that's what I'm saying is nobody really knows. She said that she was thinking of doing that, but it's now she's fake. She's just going to do another grift. Okay, well, at least it's a more like, and she wanted to start a conservative platform or something on. I don't know. I don't know all these platform things, but it was just the
There's
whole.
plenty of conservative hoes out there. It's big business now. The whole TradCon
Yeah,
thing is a huge. That's a huge money making grift all by itself.
I get so confused by this whole conservative trad wife conservative thing. Like I just there's two definitions of conservative, and you would know this better than I would because of law. But I always think of conservative is I relate it to Constitution. Like everything is Constitution as preserving the Constitution as it was written. That's when someone says conservative. That's what I think it as. If you're going to bring
Yeah,
religion
but
into it,
these are not legal terms. These are all political terms, and they've all been co-opted as political terms. I mean, when in 1983, when Reagan was president, and I was voting for Reagan, I might have called myself a conservative, but that's not what conservative means anymore. It's all these terms hardly mean anything. They mean whatever somebody wants them to mean. They're basically marketing terms now.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's what confuses me is like when you have these trad wives going after these other traditional supposed wives because they're baking a cake with a shirt that's tight and not really showing any skin, but now she's considered a hoe for doing that. Or I
I
don't
would
know.
suggest that most women who would genuinely be traditional wives are not self-promoting on social media. They're actually home being traditional wives. I think if someone's self-promoting on social media, they're an influencer is what they are. They're not really a traditional conservative wife. They're just adopted that label for doing their influencer thing, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with being an influencer, but I mean, my wife is a stay-at-home mom. She raises 2 kids, and she wouldn't have time to be a social media influencer. She's busy doing the mom
No.
thing.
I have 2 kids. I didn't have time until my kids were graduated high school, and not really much
Sure.
time until he graduated trade school. I didn't have time. Like I literally was never I never did like whatever it was back in the day, AOL chat rooms because I was going to school and then I had a family. I didn't have time to chat and be on the internet. I either worked because I had to, or I was taking care of kids, running them here, running them there because that was my priority. I didn't watch the news. I didn't have Instagram. I did have a Facebook, but I only used it because I was a personal trainer for 18 years. So I'd use it for clients to be able to have a way to communicate with me, but I wasn't this posting thing. So, and I only had 2 kids. So I don't know how someone who even has 2 or more kids has time to do the other stuff unless they're sacrificing.
Half these TradCon wives I see, I mean, they're not even married. They were married for 3 or 4 years, and now they're divorced, and they're divorced. I guess traditional wives. I don't know how it's supposed to work. I think what they've seen is a lot of these, and invariably they're very attractive women. A lot of these attractive women see a market opportunity. If you label yourself as a TradCon and you go on social media, you become a TradCon influencer, you can make a lot of money for yourself. And I don't begrudge them that. I mean, listen, if I were in their position, I'd probably do the same thing. It's a market opportunity. They're pursuing it. They're not hurting anybody. But let's not pretend it's anything real. It's a marketing facade. It's like a soap opera.
It's like a package.
It's a package, right?
Or a package or a brand. This is my brand. This
right.
is
So soap operas were created to sell soap, right? That's why they're called soap operas. They were created to sell soap to housewives. So they'd have these dramatic little mini shows, these soap operas on TV. Well, that's what the TradCon's wives are doing today, except they're selling themselves. They're selling influence.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the way. So if I wasn't a traditional wife and I wasn't even a conservative, maybe I was on the fence, maybe I just didn't know and I just came new into politics or anything like that, I would be turned off by the behavior. Like, I don't know, like tearing down other people so that I can make a bunch of money by having this position. I just don't. I would be turned off by it. Me personally. I would be turned off by it because I don't think it's productive. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any sense there.
Right, but if So, okay. But if someone starts as an OnlyFans, I don't know what to call them. Should I call them models, like with scare quotes, OnlyFans models? I know the popular ones, uh, their OnlyFans accounts become productive because they're doing sexually explicit content, right?
Yes.
I think that's my understanding. Again, I've never seen it, but if you're doing that, you have to know that you're burning bridges, right? Like that follows you forever.
Forever.
So if you're thinking someday you're going to marry like a lawyer husband and settle down in suburbia and raise a couple of kids and be on the school board and that kind of stuff, the PTA, and then people are going to pull up your images from OnlyFans where you're playing with eggplants, whatever they do on OnlyFans. That doesn't work, right? That doesn't fit because the high value man you want to marry, he doesn't want that.
Correct. So now I don't know. I guess I actually have a video. I'll present this real quick. Hold on. This is what this guy.
Please don't make it gross.
Oh, her
Just
husband.
preparing eggplants.
No. Yes, I'm gonna make it gross for you, Branka. Gotta mute this site first. Okay, here we go. Because I was just curious. I mean, it's crazy how she mentioned her husband, and now the internet's all like trying to dig him up, and who is he? Just like, oh, come on. But since it's here, we might as well take a gander ourselves as well. There we go.
And by the way, I don't care about her personally. I mean, I don't know her, right? I don't know her husband. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. Sure. I'm speaking generally.
I want to hear your input because you do have a more. I know I have a very naive view of the world, and I've since started, like, I've talked to Drex, I've talked to you, and I've lived in a bubble. I've lived in this world where everything's been safe and everyone votes Republican and people screw up or whatever. But at the end of the day, that's the world I grew up in. And so the more I talk, and I have an 18-year-old and I do have a 21-year-old. So I see my daughter as still a child. And so I can't imagine if she decided at 20 years old that she was going to do an OnlyFans account. So to me, she's still my child. So to start at 20 and to be doing that, to me, it's like, oh my gosh, I would never want her doing that when she decided that she had made a huge lifetime mistake that's going to stay with her the rest of her life. Do I show forgiveness? It's hard. It's hard.
And of course, I would never speak for Drex. He can speak for himself. But I think let me just speak for me. I just don't really believe that you can turn a hoe into a housewife. I just don't believe it. I mean, maybe God can recognize that. And I suppose in theory, it could happen, like the 1 in a million thing. But in my experience, most drug addicts who tell you they're not going to steal from you next time, or maybe they think they're telling the truth, but they're lying to you. They will steal from you the next time too. And most hoes who tell you they've reformed and now they're ready to be a housewife, they're going to hoe again.
Branka, what up?
Drex.
Hey, man.
Sally, what up?
What's up? How was your day?
So Drex is here. Let me ask him. Drex.
Yes.
Can you turn a hoe into a housewife?
Nope. No chance. Actually, you know what? I want to say this, Branka. You would know this better than most. I literally just had this combo with one of the young guys in the Discord. I'm actually going to now tell guys why, because I think when that's been like a statement for years, right? That's kind of been kind of like an adage, right? Just like an axiom.
But it's more than that. It's based on actual fact.
Yeah. Right. Okay, now someone can go with like the scientific stuff, and I could do that, right? Like, the oxytocin and serotonin, all that stuff, right? We could do all that. She needs a dopamine hit. She needs blah blah blah. There's a simpler reason.
True.
All of that is true, but Branka, do you know what the simpler reason is? In the real world, like the scientific level, right? People talk about biochemistry and all this stuff. That's one thing, right? Physiological differences. Do you know how that manifests in the physical realm? Here's how it happens. Virgins have the highest rate of success in marriage, right? By far.
Yeah, right.
Now,
well, female.
Yeah, we're talking about females. Yeah, females.
Right.
So as she starts racking up body, she has a higher probability of divorce, right?
Yeah.
So someone goes, Drex.
80% decline in happy marriage if she's had 5 partners for her husband. 5. That's the number, folks. 5.
And Branka, let's be honest. For your average college thought, that's one weekend now. You see what I'm saying?
I hate.
Frat
Listen,
dudes.
that's right. So I went to college in the 1980s, so I'm old. But the stories I hear today are pretty horrific.
Oh, hey, Brock, I got to send you my DMs.
You know what? Do you guys want to know the number one reason why that is? Because comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, of course.
You now
Yeah.
have 5 men that you're going to compare your husband with every time you sleep with him, every time he puts the toothpaste on wrong, closes the toilet lid wrong, or doesn't do
It's
something.
worse.
You're always
It's
going
worse
to
than that.
compare.
It's worse than that.
No, it
because you
is.
only of those 5 men, you only remember the best characteristic of
Yep.
each of them. So
Yep.
you're envisioning
Correct.
the perfect man who's has the best characteristics of everyone you've ever been with, and no actual human male is ever going to meet that standard.
Yeah, nobody can. Now, Bronca, here's the thing though. That is yet another female trait because a guy can have a body count of 100.
Yeah,
and we can.
He doesn't
chick.
care because he doesn't emotionally commit to.
We don't do
just
this
nutting.
thing where we go, no, she has to have all, because men have rational thinking. So they go like this. Bronca, if I met a girl and her body count is 2, right? She had a boyfriend in high school, a boyfriend in college, and now we're married. If that was my story, the dude doesn't go like this. No, man, she better be able to perform like a porn star, because guys understand. Yeah, I got a girl with 1 or 2 partners or a virgin cannot do that. You see what I'm saying?
Let's be honest, Drex. We just teach him. We teach him what we need him to know.
That's what dudes want. Now, to get back to my point about the hoe into the housewife, though, Sally, here's the reason why. I want you to think about virgins, right? When you talk to them, right? So innocent and just like when they talk about things that make them happy. You know what makes virgins happy, Bronca? Spending time with family. I knit. I crochet. I'm trying to think of like the things I've heard virgins say. Yeah. Watch an anime or a movie.
Quilting. I could give you all the things.
But they do very innocent things, right? Because here's the thing. That is their cope when like life gets stressful, or I go to church when things get when I get a little anxious, I go to church. You're thinking, okay, wholesome girl. Now watch this, Bronca. A virgin who gets into an argument with her boyfriend or husband, right? She goes, it's a little rough patch, nothing crazy, but just a little rough patch, right? She may get frustrated. She may even cry. Do you know where she goes? She goes to the thing that makes her quote unquote happy, right? The vanilla things I just named, right? She went and talked to the pastor. She went and started knitting, and it was kind of easily.
If you're lucky, she'll talk to her mother.
She'll talk to her mother, right?
Also sane.
But I have a question though.
Yes.
I have a question though. Okay, so I get what you're saying about the whole virgin thing, but say this person was taught these good family values: how to crochet, how to cook, how to be a good housewife, and all of these good wholesome things that they should be doing. They fall away, but they're like, this is terrible. This is not my life plan. And then they're like, I've got to go back to being wholesome. I mean, you're going to always have your past. You can't get rid of that, but I'm going to make better choices. I'm going to be an example. They already know that they can do all these things and they know what's expected of them. They just kind of pushed it to the side for
no, but it's not the skill set. It's not the skill set. Yeah, it's the view of the world. It's how they see the world. It's like if you said, Andrew, what if you grew up all Christian and well raised, and you were like a track and field runner in high school, and then you got drunk and rode a motorcycle and lost both your legs in a crash. Can you just decide that like you magically have legs again and you're a good runner? That doesn't work.
Nope.
If a young woman's brought up right and proper and all this kind of stuff, and then she goes through a hoe phase in college, she's done. She's never the same person
forever
any more than I can get my legs back. It just doesn't work that way.
Yes.
Now, can God save her? Can God redeem her in his eyes? Of course, I guess. I don't know. That's up
I don't
to
believe
God.
so.
But does a human male have to accept that she's the woman who didn't go through a hoe phase? No, that would be ridiculous. That's like a woman coming up to me and saying, I'm going to pretend you have legs. Run, Andrew, run for us.
Yeah, you're sitting there with just little flippers, right? You got little flippers. Bronca, the reason why I said that to Sally about the whole body count thing when it comes to these ran-throughs, these pass-arounds. So Sally, this is what happens. And I've seen this time and time again in my own life, right? This is firsthand knowledge. When I used that metaphor earlier about the wholesome girl, right? When she goes through something, any adversity, she defaults back to the thing that's her comfort zone. Just like a dude can smoke a cigar, or Brock can go take a bike ride. I can play a video game. Do you know what hoes do, Sally? When there's a rough patch in a relationship, you know what hoes do? You know,
go back to hoeing.
They get back to hoeing. In fact, I sent Sally some of my DMs. And do you remember, Sally, there was a particular young lady who she's going through a little rough patch with the man. The dude is out there saying this, that, and the other. You know, he seems his interest is a little more distracted towards something else, right? You know, her default was, Bronca, all right, Drex, sign up the team, get me gangbang. True story.
I remember that.
But you see what I'm saying? Like now someone goes, nah, Drex, that's extreme. Okay, let's start asking women out there, right? And I remember women aren't going to be honest if they're on camera, right? But you and I both know, Bronca, the girls who were promiscuous, right? They were the ones cheating in relationships. Here's the thing, and
they've always got a backup guy.
They've always got a backup dude.
Yeah,
like,
they always got a backup guy. So they have one fight with their man.
Yep.
If she disappears for 4 hours, I can tell you exactly what she's doing.
Yep. No. So Bronca,
and if not, you're going to assume that's what she's doing because of her past.
What she's doing. Because
okay, hold on one sec.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just going to say thank you, Unlucky Irish, for the $1 Rumble rant. So, guys, you can send me Rumble rants over on Rumble if you'd like. I do have Cash App. I do have Venmo. They are the same. Talk with Sally on every site. So you're welcome to send. If you send through Cash App or Venmo, let me know so I can read your message out. But thank you, Unlucky Irish. Continue on, guys.
No, so Sally, this is the thing. I actually use this same strategy, Bronca, when women come with all of their baggage, right? So women who have lots of baggage, I always prove that everything they say in their life is full of shit. And you know how you do it? You take their life story, right? And you condense it, just crush it into a fucking ball, and then go like this. If your son walked in with a woman who has your life story, would you like, yes, son, marry this woman? So watch this. Bronca, a woman she's got, let's say 4 kids by 3 different men, married and divorced twice. She does OnlyFans, blah, blah, and then you're like this, but no, she's a God-fearing woman. Bronca, she's seen the light. Now you can say that and be like, men need to, she's been redeemed by God. But if that was your son, he said, yeah, mom, I want you to meet this girl. And you're like, who the fuck are these kids? Oh, no, those are about 3 different dudes. 2 of them are in prison. You know what I'm saying? One is currently running the streets. And as you start to describe her life, right? Her life, she sees, oh my God, this bitch is a train wreck, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, she doesn't want her son marrying a baby mama.
Doesn't marry a baby mama. So y'all don't want you as a mother, you do not want your son marrying a baby mama. You don't want him to marry a girl who's an actual prostitute, which is what OnlyFans is, right? And when women do this whole like, no, it depends on her personality. No, it doesn't. The moment he says, yeah, mom, when you go like this, you're sitting there with your son, right, Sally? And you go like this, hey, so what does she do for work? Brock, have you ever seen eyes start darting around when people say certain shit? And it's like, and it gets uncomfortable. Oh, mom, she models. Models what? Fuck does that mean? You ever had that scenario, Brock, where someone
even models? So I'm old, right? I existed before OnlyFans. Even models in the old days, bad bet, man. They were not all that different from the OnlyFans chicks today.
Facts.
Those old school models, bad bet. They look pretty.
I don't know.
Date them.
Take
them.
So my kid is my son's kind of, I don't know if he's spoiled, but he's known me, and I've been at home with my kids because I wanted to be around my kids, especially between 2:00 and 6:00 when the other kids' parents aren't at home. My kids were home. I was home with their kids. Friends could come over, but there wasn't this closed bedroom stuff. I was home. I cooked. I did their laundry. I gardened. I'm just like, I'm a weird person. I guess I'm a traditional. So he compares, I haven't brought men in and out of my house since I've been divorced. I've been with one person for 15 years, ever since I got divorced, ever. Like, that's, to me, I'm monogamous. So he just sees that this is the value, that this is how women are supposed to be. So he had a relationship when he was younger, and she was sending pictures that she shouldn't have to his best friend. They were best friends. They did everything. And this has ruined his perception of women because he compares it to how it should be. So he's already has this mindset that Drex says that men have, is they're bitter already. He already assumes.
I wouldn't say it ruined his perception. I would say it clarified his perception.
Yeah.
Sorry, but most women today would fit the definition of even 50 years ago we would call whores. They just go out, they have random sex, they of course they're not getting paid cold hard cash generally like traditional whores, but they're getting paid in other ways. They're getting paid in dinners and dates and attention, and they're having all that sex outside even like a serious dating commitment to any particular individual guy. They have a roster. They're on a roster. 80% of women are screwing the same 20% of guys. Those guys are getting tons of sex. The bottom 80% of guys are invisible to women. So all these women are effectively sharing men. They're all sharing the high value men with each other. So how is that not whoredom?
Yeah. No, I don't agree with that behavior. I grew
so I'm
up
just
in
saying,
this.
I think your son's perception is not cynical. I think it's accurate.
Yeah. But
I guess I didn't mean to word it. I didn't mean to word it like that. It's ruined. I guess it's the innocent. I like the innocence was gone from him. Like now he has reality. Like he just always had this. I'm glad he knows. He learned.
So how old is your son? You're talking about?
He's gonna be 19 now. So this happened a long time ago.
All right. So I mean,
yeah. So he's like,
19. So he's 19. He bumped into a whore. He discovered
they're not all.
Right. It's good. That's an important learning lesson for young men. It's like when you total your first car. Every guy goes through it. But what he should do is he should focus on himself. He should focus on his income potential. He should focus on his skill sets. He should focus on being the kind of guy he wants to be, that he would find admirable. And then when he's 30, maybe 35, he should start maybe thinking about a woman if he wants to, if he doesn't just want to stay in
overseas.
The field. Maybe overseas. Who knows? I mean, that's sketchy these days too. But definitely, at least I would look for a woman no older than 25 for sure, and start fishing in that pool, and he will have, I predict, great success. And there may be some hope in that pool. Maybe not. I mean, maybe even that pool is so poisoned that there's no hope.
Yeah.
But certainly above 25, there's no hope. It's all done.
No hope at all. There's rare exceptions. I met a virgin who was 27, attractive too, not some skeezer, right? And it's because she grew up in an Orthodox community, right? So she was under the thumb of her dad and the church, right? Not the case now because
if you could meet like a 23, 24-year-old with a body count of 4, that would be a miracle. But and of course you can't believe them, right? Because you always have to take the body count and multiply it times 5. So
I mean, now it's like about times 13. Now, Sally, this is no bullshit. I had this conversation with Sally the other night, and I said, Sally, I'll tell you the real problem with what's going on right now. And this kind of goes into this whole issue with this, what's her name? Lala, whatever, this little
It's Nala.
Nala, that's my bad. Nala. I'll say the real issue, Bronca, and this is the scary thing. This is what your son's experience is, the lived experience of, I believe, all guys in general now, right? Especially the guys who are the top tier, because your son, I've seen her son, he's a top tier dude. He's headed down that path. And I'm saying what the issue is, Bronca. I call it the good girl paradox, right? Because so Bronca, pretend that you're her son's age, right? So you and I are in our 20s, right? We're early 20s. And we're like, you know what? We're making money. We're doing our thing. Bronca, we both have, we're marriage minded, right? We want to think about getting a girl and all that stuff. Here's the problem.
Yeah, I've done it multiple times.
Right? Now, Bronca, think of it like this though, right? Based on how women speak and dress, and we all know what a chameleon is, right? The bad women have become so rampant and they've fucking poisoned the well to a degree, Sally. Here's the thing. I believe your son, I don't like to call him cynical or jaded. I think he's gonna get to a point where like he won't trust any of them. He'll be like, you could be what you say you are, but you could also be. Look, I don't know if you know this. A lot of these, you've been hearing about this, right, Bronca? Teachers getting caught with OnlyFans. What is it? You got teachers, nurses, cops, all these people doing all kinds of shit in the night, right? In the heat of the night, and you're thinking, damn, I thought that was a good girl. Mormon porn stars now, Christian porn stars.
Women are amazing chameleons. It's almost like it comes with the makeup that when they're 13 years old, they're just great at putting on a facade to represent something that's what they're not.
Yep. Oh, I'm a good girl. I'm making it before.
Yeah, I'm sure we've all seen those videos of these chicks who do their makeup on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they wash the makeup off and they're like, oh my God, that's like not the same human being.
Yeah.
Well, they do that with their personalities too. Women are very skilled at this. And by the way, I don't mean to be critical of them. The evolutionary biology built this into them. Women over, you know, the 100,000 years of human civilization have to be able to present themselves as likable and attractive, because in a pre-industrial society, they're helpless if they don't have a male protector. So they had to be able to attract a male protector. And if that meant pretending that they didn't already have kids or hadn't previously had a husband, whatever, you got to hide all of that to get the next dude who's going to protect you from being a treat for the whole village, from being the village bicycle. So it's not bad that women have developed this skill. The trouble is, in the modern context, amplified by social media, women's inherent desires for attention and validation and chameleon-like behavior has escalated to such a point that it's broken them. It's broken the integral element of human society, which is the human family. They can't get into it. They can't stay in it. And when they break it, they utterly destroy it.
Well, they don't really show much care. It's more like because it's about me, right? Like, you know, there's that old saying, men will sacrifice their happiness for their family. Women will sacrifice the family for their happiness.
Well, women think marriage is about happiness. That's the
it's like it is not.
I mean just look at any man in a marriage, right? So men in marriage, what they do is they sacrifice.
Go back to the farming days.
I work 12, 15 hours a day for my family. I'm 60 years old. I work my
ass off. Go back
to
the farming days. You didn't have this pool of options, right? You had a farm, you had
Joe
family.
Was like one of 3 guys you could pick.
Yeah, but you have this family, you have 7 kids, you have a farm to work, you know, everyone had their roles. Man's outside, you know, milking cows, sewing, whatever he's doing with the garden, or going out in the market, selling things, building, trading. You didn't have a choice. I guarantee there was fights. I guarantee there was disagreements. I guarantee there was things, but you had to make it work. You made a commitment to raise this family. You made a commitment that this was a life that you were going to have. And there probably wasn't a lot of options unless you were going to be a famous banker. But you bring that to today and kind of the degradation of, everyone says that I'm weird for saying this, and I know you guys agree with this, is the 19th Amendment, where women started infiltrating government, men's spaces, and started changing the way our society was. And bring it full circle. I don't know if I kind of lost my thing, but bringing it full circle, somewhere along the way, women, instead of just needing to take care of their family and building that unity, they need this validation that they're this wonderful person. I'm everything. Instead of it being intrinsic, it became extrinsic. So where they needed external validation. So it's no longer inside.
Women didn't change. Their nature's never changed. Their nature's always been the same. Society has changed. It's like you can be a normal human being, and then you're exposed to, I don't know, crack cocaine, right? You haven't changed. Your biology hasn't changed, but your environment has changed, and you become a crack addict because you've been exposed to crack cocaine. Women's intrinsic nature hasn't changed, but they've always wanted attention. They've always needed a male protector. They've always had this desire to make themselves appealing to men. They've always been the more emotional gender than men, the less rational gender, because they raise children, and children are emotional. And again, this is all value add. I'm not being critical of women for this. These are important characteristics for them to have. But the modern environment has changed to such a degree that it feeds that need for attention and emotion and that flippant attitude, that less rational attitude toward the world, less permanency, being willing to pull that eject lever anytime they have a moment of unhappiness. That's their crack cocaine. I mean, social media, attention, dating apps, having 1,000 guys DMing him every day from Abu Dhabi and every other place in the world. That's women's crack cocaine. So I don't blame women for succumbing to these influences. I don't think they're bad people for doing it, but we can't be stupid and not recognize that they've become addicts.
Well, they're put into this cocoon, right? And one of the things that I've noticed about, let's call it like the female trajectory, right? Just your regular female growing up. Were they being told? Were they being sold? If you sort of look at kind of like their trajectory, you know what you notice, Bronca? There's no, like, we're talking about like from what they hear, like on a remotely day-to-day basis, they don't hear a counter argument. You see what I'm saying? It's not like, think about it. A young girl doesn't hear the nuclear family is worth protecting. It's worth having. They don't hear that on a daily basis. They don't hear respect men. They don't hear that. Like, think about what on a daily basis, start twerking. get that bag, sprinkle, sprinkle. Like the type
Right.
of shit that is inundated in them, Sally, day in, day. Okay, it is for that same reason. There were people out there who were very critical of like Fresh and Fit and like whatever podcast with the types of girls they had on, right? Like, why don't you guys get regular girls? I was like, it doesn't matter what type of girl you get. Doesn't matter if she's from Utah or Minnesota or fucking LA or Miami. If you start to just talk to just women as a broad term, like who are we encountering between 18 to 28? They all sound the same. They're all think about it, Bronca. Most chicks out here watch the exact same TV shows, right? Would you agree? Real Housewives. The topics
They're on the same social
about.
media. They're on the same dating apps. It's all the same. They're all conditioned. And by the way, again, women are very, very wired to be accepted by their group, by the feminine group, right? You can't be, if you're a female outcast, you're doomed. Yes. I mean, Sally would know this better than anybody, right? If you're you want to be in the high school clique, right? You don't want to be the girl who's excluded from the stuff all the other girls are doing. Is that true? Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't know, because I was always excluded I got to a point where I didn't care because they were just mean girls, but I had that desire. I wanted to be part of the in group.
I think maybe you were an outlier, but I think you'd agree that most girls would prefer to be in the clique than out of the clique, right?
Oh no, like I wanted to be in the clique. I just got to the point where
they all
like,
dress the same, right?
They all,
they all dress the same.
Have you ever seen that picture that says "I'm not like other girls"? It's like 12 girls. They're all dressed exactly the same.
Yeah. By the way, that's also true of Harley Davidson riders, and they all do the same.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Go to Sturgis, right? And the reason why I bring this up is that, like, Bronco was talking about how what women are actually doing is that they sell purity, right? Because Bronco, when they're trying to hide,
they sell what?
Purity.
They sell purity. Purity is
purity. Okay.
Because they know men want purity. So
so women want experience, right? Like if think about like
this. Well, let's be fair. I should be accurate. So men want purity for commitment. They'll take any whore to bust a nut. They don't. Then men don't care. But if you're looking for commitment, men are looking for purity. Loyalty, right?
That's why. So Sally, if there are women out there who will watch this and go, I don't believe what they're saying. I think everything they're saying is fucking bullshit. It's like, okay, historically, it doesn't matter if it's fiction, right? Or if it's fact. What do you notice? Think about the kinds of women that got chosen. All the Disney fairy tales, were they passed around, Sally? No, they were always virgins, always young and beautiful, right? A young, beautiful virgin can land with a good heart, can land a king, right? Or a prince. Think about the kinds of
not only
women,
must,
right?
They never married the local,
oh damn,
bootmaker.
I read this from Mild. He says fat hoes need to stop twerking and start wiggling them toes.
They
pretty
do,
sure that was
man.
directed at you.
The twerking shit's gotten out of hand. This is the thing, though, is that like when you raise a daughter like Bronca is, like I'm doing, like Sally's doing, all of us on this panel have to deal with the pressures that come for the girls, and you learn quickly what they are and are not capable of handling, like just from like a societal standpoint. Like dudes can just handle it; they're built to. You see what I'm saying? Like when people talk about ostracization, right? So Sally, you had an advantage because you had brothers. You see what I'm saying? Like I want you to imagine being an only child, right? So we'll do a revisionist history. Sally's an only child, freakishly tall. You want to be part of the girl clique, right? But they're basically rejecting you. Think about how much more desperate you would have been to not, because you couldn't have the outlet to run around with the boys. You see what I'm saying? Think about what you would have become, right?
And by the way, that's a big problem. I hardly hear people talk about, but so I had two sisters. I was a family of 3 kids, right? And the families before me had many more kids before that. But today's families typically have 1.2 children. So most people growing up today don't have siblings. So those of you who are like between the ages of 30 and 50, and you grow up with 2 or 3 siblings, think about how your life would have been different if like 90% of the families you knew and the kids you knew were only children, because that's the reality today.
It is.
An entire generation of people is growing up without siblings. So what happens when their parents die? They have no extended family.
Yep.
It's over. They're adult individuals with no family. When I think about that, that's horrific.
It is. It's funny you say that, Bronca. I watched a reaction video of Interstellar, right? I think it was Nikki and Steve, I think is their name. She has like the spiky hair. And it came across my little algorithm and I watched it. She had like an all out like breakdown, right? She had like a meltdown at the scene where at the very end of the movie when Cooper walks in and sees
His daughter,
who's now an
Yeah.
old, right?
right?
But
Yeah,
she's surrounded by family. And
Right.
she has like this moment where you know,
Yeah.
he even like looks over, he goes, "Baby, you all right?" Like she's really being overwhelmed. You know, at first you're kind of like, why is she acting like that? And she explains, she goes, so when the video, I think it's like I can't remember if it's like in the reaction or it was like in that moment, she goes, we stopped at 2 kids and we should have had more. Like, because you start thinking about that shit, because what if, and Sally, think about it, your son could be in this boat, how bad things have gotten. What if your 1 or 2 kids don't reproduce? You see what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
it's
no,
easy
for
for
sure.
us. Like
Or you have bad outcomes, right?
Bad
one of them
outcomes, yeah.
dies, one of them becomes a drug addict. One of I mean, this shit happens in real
It
life.
happens, yeah.
Yes, I had 7 siblings. So and before then, my grandparents had 7. My greats had 10. Like I trace back, like we come from a family where you're supposed to reproduce and replenish the earth. That's what you're supposed to have a family. You're supposed to get married. You're supposed to make a home. You're supposed to raise
Mhm.
kids to adulthood. That was your goal in life. The money thing, great, but that was your goal.
Right. So I grew up in an Italian family. When I was a kid, we used to have family reunions with 200 people would show up to a
Yeah.
family reunion. You can't do that in today's generation because everyone
No.
has one kid. Those one kids may have no kids. There is no second cousins and third cousins. There are no great aunts and uncles. It doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. And one of the other things is like, when you talk about like the number, right? The number is one thing. The ideology has everyone so divided. You see what I'm saying? I mean, like COVID kind of proved that. Sally, there was people, man, who COVID literally broke their family. Like they literally just like diverged.
Yeah.
Because politically, sociopolitical, it has gotten to that point now where people are like this. You know what, Bronca? If you're in this camp, we don't really talk to those people much anymore. And think about it. People text more than they call. Sally, do you remember back in the day when you remember like moms and everybody like would actually be on the phone physically, right? Talking to people. You see what I'm saying?
You mean like this? Walking
Yeah,
around
sitting
doing
there,
laundry?
Like doing
this?
laundry, like
Before
holding
headsets?
all of that is
Yeah.
gone because now people are like this. They'll text, right? And then
Yes.
when you call, Bronca, people look at you crazy. Fuck did you call me for?
Right,
They look at you crazy. Like you called me? Like why would you do that? Text me. And
What,
so
what do you got?
people-
Cancer? What's going on?
Yeah.
The relationships and interpersonal relationships are gone. Everything is surface level. It's not like reading their body language, but you can tell when someone's lying to you. Like, hey, are you okay today? How was your day? And they're like, oh, everything is good, right? But if you're through text message, everything's fine. But you see their face, you see their eyes, their body language, you know things aren't okay. And we've lost that ability to, I don't know, be compassionate, try to like care about people. It's like, oh, everything's fine. He told me so. Everything's great, right? I don't know. It's like there's a piece of empathy and sympathy that's kind of gone away. Like it's missing.
So
In
do
a huge
people
part
get
of society.
do people get easier to control or harder to control when we atomize everybody in this way?
Easier.
Easier, right?
Easier.
It's
Yeah.
in somebody's interest that this is
Yeah.
happening. This way.
Robots. It's robots. And I don't know, I was listening to, this is really crazy. And I don't know if this is, I think it's kind of on topic like this, but I was actually listening to a space last weekend. It's on MK Ultra one, but they were focusing on Disney. And they went back. I want to go re-listen to it because I didn't get to listen to all of it, but they went clear back to the 1940s when this whole Project Mockingbird and MK Ultra started, and the people and the people who were part of MK Ultra was the person Walt Disney. He was part of this whole entire thing. So even when he did like Pinocchio and all these old time Disney shows, they were gradually, not all at once. It wasn't drastic, or else we wouldn't buy into it, right? Us older people have seen this change. We can go back to 1980s versus today, and it's like how the world has changed. But it happened gradually over time, and all of a sudden, we're like, how did we get here? But it started very methodically, and it even went through with the Walt Disney Clubhouse. All of the girls were intentionally like put in these positions. They were cute, they were fun, and as they got older, they started having like sexier dresses and they, provocative. And then as soon as they turned 18 years of age, because they'd spent so much time into this life, then they turned them into these like either an actor or a music star. But look at every single person in Hollywood right now who has every female's completely lost it, completely gone, completely
They're all
ruined.
abused too. I mean, in
Yes.
order to reach a certain level of fortune and fame within that industry,
I think most
you
of the
have to go
guys
through
have been
this.
abused.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Yeah,
I think
You-
a lot of these crazy guy actors, I think if you knew the truth, they were the reason they're crazy as they are, especially if you saw them in the movies, like their first big break movie, and they look kind of normal, and then they went crazy after that. It's because they were sexually exploited to get those
Yep.
roles.
Yep. The when you gotta go through the rituals, you gotta go through all the circles of hell, and when you so Bronca, before I knew about all this, right? I'll tell you what happened when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I would look at these people, and you kind of grew up with them, right? You're a kid, they're a kid, maybe they were a little bit older than you in the show, but you kind of grow up together, right? And you start going like, what the hell happened to Screech? Why did the Saved by the Bell kid? Why did this guy go crazy? Why did this happen? You used to ask that question, why, right? Because at that time you don't understand. You saw it from the perspective of, hey man, you're rich, you're famous. What's the problem? Why are you going?
Why isn't life good, right? Why is your hair
why isn't
purple
life
and half
good?
shaved off your head? Why do you get a face tattoo now? What happened?
Yeah, if somebody gave me money and fame, right? This is the way a kid thinks, right? If someone gave me money and fame, I'd be good, right? We'd be living large.
Yeah, but it's never a gift. It comes
It's
with a
never
price,
a give.
right?
I'm gonna go run to the ladies' room so you boys hold the fort. Okay, I'll be able to hear you still. So
We'll do that.
be careful, be nice.
So Bronca, the guys out there who were in all these things, right? Nickelodeon, you saw this in the record industry. The Jackson 5 were raped before they went on American Bandstand. They got their cheeks fucking clapped. So if any of you guys want to find that video, just look it up. Just look up like Jackson 5 raped. And the
Oh, come on, man. I saw him on actual TV.
Oh, yeah, right?
When we had 3 channels of TV.
Oh, what a time to be alive. It's really unfortunate because like what you're starting to see, like with this whole like Nala thing, when Sally had sent me like the little picture, I was like, she kind of represents the modern, like I don't like saying like the female imperative in general, because like women, everyone has a choice, everyone's autonomous. But what ended up happening is someone goes like this, Bronca, in the moment. Think about what OnlyFans gets them: attention, validation, money.
Yeah,
and the access, right? They get access to all these guys, access to travel, all this shit, right? And they live high. Can you imagine what that high does to you when you've experienced that between, say, 18 to like, let's say 23, right? Like Bad Baby, right? She turned 18 and made like what, like $60 million in a day.
Hey, listen, it happens to men too, right? Just look at NBA players, right? A lot of them come from poverty backgrounds. They're good basketball players. They get into the NBA. Suddenly they're paid $20 million.
Yeah.
They tend to blow up too, but most of those guys end up broke.
Yeah. You know what one of the main differences is though, Bronca, is that like when it comes to like athletes and musicians and like that, they had to like develop an actual talent though, right? Like a skill. Whereas when you're on OnlyFans and all you can really say, like think about it, that the Cash Me Outside girl basically just parlay. And here's the thing, I don't knock her for parlaying that into something that was very lucrative, right? But it's like when someone goes, "What do you do?" It's kind of like what happened with I think that happened with Kanye West, where I think like one of the kids asked like Kim, like like what do you do? Like what are you famous for? Like, and she couldn't say anything because she can't tell a kid a sex tape. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I have to be honest. I think so. My understanding is that like 99% of OnlyFans girls don't really make any money.
They don't.
It's one, right? So 1% are making all the money. So they have some skill set. I mean, they're doing something that's different.
Yes.
Now, I might not call it a skill. It's not woodworking. It's not practicing law. Whatever. But I have to acknowledge that they've put themselves in the top 1% of a very large population of women are outperforming everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We look at most sports. I'll pick football, right? What do we got? We got a bunch of guys on the field throwing an ovoid ball back and forth. And I mean, with the Roman gladiators have called that a skill. They would have called the skill, can you kill your enemy, right? They would have laughed at a ball game. So it's not that they're not skilled. Tom Brady, incredibly skilled, right there. The NFL is the top 1% too, 1/10 of 100th of 1% of football players. But it's almost a circular argument, right? We're saying we pay people a lot of money when they do this thing in the top 10th of 1%. Therefore, we call them skilled. But is it really different if you're throwing a ball around or if you're playing with an
that part is
eggplant
true.
on camera?
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. One of the things I have noticed though about the OnlyFans thing though, that I think is kind of disturbing is you're now being rewarded for your transgressions, right? Like, so if you're a cop and you get busted for OnlyFans, or you're a nurse, or you're a flight attendant, whatever your job is, right? You're a school teacher. When you get busted, we're in the area where there's no shame. So Sally, a lot of the
I think it's going to end, by the way. I think they're going to stop getting busted. I think people are going to stop caring.
Maybe. I mean, maybe within like I would say maybe within 5 years, maybe.
I think it's going to become like a normal job. Like you wouldn't fire a teacher because they used to be a cab driver.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So they're going to say, well, why would you fire a teacher just because she did OnlyFans? That's just respectable sex work.
yeah, respectable sex work. And that's the thing, though. It's like there used to be a huge social penalty for engaging in certain types of things.
Yeah, we don't have shame anymore.
So now that you don't have it,
women used to hide it. We used to, like back in the day, you would not tell anybody that you snuck out of the house and you went and hooked up with Johnny. You would hide that, and if someone found out, you would be ashamed. No guy was going to want to be with you. Yeah, you would deny it. You'd lie it, and if there was a point where, well, I saw you, so you can't deny it, you would be ashamed. You would be publicly shamed, and you would be low value according to a man. Right? But publicly, it was. But now it's became like I have a lot of compassion because I believe that everyone can make mistakes and that they should have the opportunity to make a change. Doesn't mean people are going to have to like me, like that's. But I'm trying to spit out. Like at the end of the day, this has become normalized. This has been acceptable. We no longer shame. We no longer call people fat. We no longer people say, "Hey, you're a hoe." Back in the day, if I would have been kissing some boy behind the bleachers, I would have been a hoe, and everyone in my school would have known about it. Like it would have. But now it's like, oh, whatever. My turn next.
Yeah, unfortunately, shame is actually a superpower, a societal superpower, and we threw it away. I mean, shame is how we keep people's bad conduct in check, right? And we threw that away. So now people can do whatever they want.
Well, not only are they doing whatever they want though, Bronca, it's like it's celebrated. Like, I mean, think about like when there's a scandal, right? Your scandal becomes your new grift. You see what I'm saying? Because think about it, if you're a school teacher, right, and you get busted, your whole your shtick is, I'm the Mormon school teacher who was busted. That
who's now on the Bachelor TV show.
yeah, like that becomes your shtick. Like, so back in the day, it was like this. Oh my God, Sally, this is serious. This person's been ostracized. They better repent. There's no fucking repentance anymore. You just pop your fucking starfish open. That's the new repent. It's like this Nala girl, and this is another problem, Bronco. You talk about the lack of shame. They're getting wiped up. Whores didn't get wiped up back in the day. You remember that? Like, yeah, they got used for casual hookups, but like, no dude took an actual whore seriously. You see what I'm saying? Now they do.
No man of high value did.
Yeah, no man of high value.
No man of high value does today. Even today, they don't. It's the simps. The simps are a plague upon all of us.
And now you have rich simps. Like, was it Logan Paul?
Yeah, sure. Just being a simp doesn't mean you can't make money.
Yeah. So you're talking about a multi-millionaire simp. Ronald Reagan, simp. You married the throat goat, bro. I can't take Ronald Reagan seriously on any fucking level at all. Like any level.
Well, he was the worst president in the world. I'm sorry,
ever.
Not the worst. He's the top 5.
Here's the thing, Sally. He signed no fault divorce into law. That literally set the country on a path.
No, that broke everything.
So if you everyone can agree the nuclear family is like the thing, right, Bronca? If you're on the left or the right, you go, and someone go, hey, you could be secular, you could be religious. If we can all agree, nuclear family is a thing, right? If everyone can agree on that, and someone goes, what one president got rid of that? And someone goes, Ronald Reagan. Okay, well, your everything in your country, your culture, your civilization.
In fairness, he did it for California. All the other states followed. That followed,
yeah, of course.
For all the other states.
Okay, let me tell you this.
There's no question that no fault divorce broke everything.
It broke everything.
Because I'll tell you once a woman was privileged to walk away from her marriage vows,
not just women, men
for
too.
doing it. on a whim. No, men don't walk away. Sorry. I mean, I know, of course, it happens, but 80% of divorces are
Right.
filed by women.
Okay.
So
Yeah, but so go back to I'm talking about just during the 80s. I am the product. My family, my upbringing is the product of Reagan signing that bill into law. Because then my dad was able to leave my mom with 7 kids, stay-at-home mom. Then she had to learn how to get education, which is here nor there. So men at a time did walk away, and not just the women. So yes, they might be outliers. I don't know the statistics on it. I only know from my personal level of like to me, I grew up that family was everything, and when he left, I officially divorced when I was 8, but that was about when that law got put into place, early 80s. So he could go get a divorce. But
who
anyway,
kept custody of the kids?
he didn't want custody of the kids. My mom had custody of all of us.
Okay.
He didn't pay child support.
If he'd wanted custody, who would have gotten it?
No, I don't know if back in the day he would have. Like, I don't think so in Utah in the early 80s.
If he'd wanted it, who would have gotten it? Do you believe?
Oh, no, but for sure my mother would have gotten it.
Of course. So who ended up at the marital home?
We ended up with the marital home.
Of course, as you should have. If your mother had wanted child support and he had the means to provide it, you don't think the courts would have ordered him to do that?
No, they did. They did order him, but I'm just saying back in the 80s. So this is where things have evolved. Back in the 80s, it was easy to be a deadbeat dad and not pay child support because even if you took him to court, it was hard.
The system didn't do that. You just ended up with a bad father. But the system didn't do that. If the system could have, they would have forced him to pay.
But not in the early 80s. No, like during that time afterwards, yes, it became more strict, and they did do more forceful things. But she would have to be able to take him to court and force him to do that and pay for it.
Now it's 50 years later. So today, if a man's considering marrying today, what's he looking at with no fault divorce? He's looking at
absolutely.
If his wife has a moment of unhappiness, she can walk into court, not have to give any reason, whatever. She gets the divorce, she gets the house, she gets the kids, she gets alimony, she gets child support. She's literally paid to get divorced for a moment's unhappiness, as if marriage is about happiness, as we talked about before.
It's not about duty.
Marriage, because happiness is an emotion. Happiness comes and goes, right? Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're not. Marriage is about duty to the other and to your children. But now with no fault divorce, we've told women, listen, if you're unhappy for a moment, you can just call and file.
Throw it all away.
And by the way, you get your husband to pay your legal fees for
divorce. We'll take care of you. And so
I'm saying I'm agreeing with you because my whole point was that I understand what you're saying because I'm a product of Ronald Reagan's law, right? Because maybe my family would have stayed together had my dad not been able to go file for divorce. Take everything else aside.
I think if a woman had a momentary day of unhappiness, but she knew it was going to be an arduous process to get divorced and she'd have to provide a reason and proof, a lot of divorces wouldn't happen because a week later she wouldn't be unhappy anymore.
Yeah.
Because unhappiness is an emotion too. And just like happiness, it comes and it goes. It vacillates, right?
And women are unhappy at least once a month for 7 days, right? So you take that, or would we get divorced once a month?
More than that.
I was gonna say they're perpetually unhappy, and they actually tend to be unhappy when the guy is happy. In a lot of cases, you'll see this, Bronca, where like if a guy is trying to enjoy himself, or guys, plural, are trying to enjoy themselves, who's the one that comes in to like, no, we can't have fun going on? It's usually chicks.
Well, I think that's evolutionary biology too. I think women, they want resources for themselves and their children, and it's the men who provide the resources. Even today in the modern era, really, seriously, it's the men who make the bulk of the money. And so if you're a woman, where are you going to get resources from your guy? And if you see him relaxing, you're like, well, fuck that. I need you out there getting more resources for me.
Yep.
I think that's what drives them. I don't think it's evil per se. I think it's just the way they're wired. That doesn't mean the man should just, of course, bend the knee to every woman's request. But that's why they're doing it.
But that's even changed though, because even now women feel like we've got to go out. And then I think this is where the family unit and why our kids have been allowed to be manipulated by TV and all these different apps is because women are like, oh, I've got to go out and work. I've got to be the breadwinner. Like, I need to go and compete. I need to be special in this way. When really not having women at home and that role shifting, like, so yeah, maybe they want the men to work as well. So now you have the woman and the husband working their asses off, leaving the kids home to either be babysat by perpetrator potential. And being
First of all,
entertained by your phone.
women jobs or men jobs are not the same. I don't know why no one ever
Agreed.
talks about this, but they're just not the same. So
They're not.
men tend to be much more disciplined about money than women do. Men
Yep.
tend to go out, they work. If they get a surplus, they save it. They're saving for a rainy day. Women tend to spend every penny they make. They make less money than men. They spend more money than men. They have by far the large majority of consumer debt in the country, even though they make less money than men.
It's not even close.
Women get to an age where they've been working in a cubicle job. In their 20s, they loved it because they were getting all kinds of male attention and going on dates and people were buying them dinner. In their 30s, they begin to not like it because maybe now they're in a higher management position with more responsibility. They're not getting the dates they used to. They're thinking about the biological clock. By the time they're 40, women are like, F this. I hate this corporate life. I don't want to be a strong, independent woman. I want a man to come in here and save me. This is bullshit. And you know what? They're all broke and they're all in debt.
Yep.
Let's preface this, guys. When we speak like this, I just want to remind the chat and the viewers,
I'm speaking generally, of course.
Generalities. So you're like, well, that doesn't apply to me because what he just said didn't apply to me.
Say that. Yeah.
So I just want to tell people they're talking about the top 5% of men, high earners, right? We're talking about a small population group. So when we talk about this, I like to preface this because I hear people are like, well, they think because they make $50,000, they fit this category, and you don't. And so I just want to make that clear when we talk about stuff like this. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's sad that we have to say that, and my whole thing is if it don't apply, don't reply, right? If someone says a comment, right, and it doesn't matter what it is, they can say something about Italian guys or tall blonde girls or black dudes or whatever. If that doesn't apply to me, I'm not going to be sitting there. I'm not going to be in my feelings. I'm like, in general, that usually can be the case or whatever. I don't. Yeah,
it's a very low IQ response when people say, "Well, not every." Not every.
All. It's like, yeah,
there are exceptions. It's like, oh, we get it. There's 7 billion people on the face of the earth. I didn't talk to everybody. I presume. Right. Anytime you're having a generalized discussion,
the only reason why I said that is because I've had arguments with people when you would talk or when Drex would talk. I'm like, that's not what he's talking about. He's not talking about you. He's talking about this group of people. You don't fit into that mold. They're talking about these high earners that could get anybody they want because they have value, they have money, and they have whatever it is. And then I'm like, you don't fit this category. So you can't.
One thing I can tell you for sure, Sally, when people get really upset, it turns out I am in fact talking about them. Because if I wasn't talking about them, they wouldn't get upset. They say, "Well, that's generally true, but that's
someone
not me.
Talking about
I'm
actually fat broke dudes, right? Like Bronco, would you ever get mad if someone started going ham on fat broke Italian dudes? It's like that doesn't apply to you. You see what I'm saying? Like you're like, well, what the fuck would I get mad at that for?
No, I would just look at my Rolex and say, "Oh my God, it's almost time for bed."
Yeah, as you should, because I mean, we're at this stage now where it's like the fact that we can even have a conversation, I think, is threatening. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't want conversations even being had. What they want is to go like this, Bronco, let's divide up everybody, get them to just bicker at each other, throwing stones at each other. And then we're going to go ahead and take all the money and power and just leave them fucking with nothing.
Yeah, they want everyone to be insecure and highly sensitive and take everything personally. Listen, I've been broke. I worked as a diesel mechanic. I've eaten goddamn pancakes every day for months at a time. I've been there, man. But you know what? I wasn't insecure then either. I knew I was broke. If you called me a brokey, I would have said, yeah, you're right. I'm a brokey. Right. I got to do better than this.
Guys are honest about
it. Because you didn't need external validation. You knew that you were capable of going out and eventually you were going to make money because you know you work hard.
I knew what I was. I mean, I didn't know I was going to end up here, but you aspire and you work hard. You hope for the best. But I knew I wasn't going to take offense at what I was, where I was. That's where I was. That's just the reality. If I'm in a pool and you call me wet, I'm not going to take offense.
guys see broke as like a temporary stage, right? Like yeah, I'm broke now. You know what I mean? Like that's how guys see broke.
I've been broke a lot. I've been broke, had money, been broke, had money, been broke. Now currently I have money. It's better than being broke, but who knows?
Yeah, right. We in the Wolf of Wall Street, he talks about that. Like it's always better to be a rich man than a poor man. And to some of those comments I saw as Sally was showing them up here, like with Irish chick was saying that when you're in the Dame lifestyle, you get to see a lot of shit And Bronco, I've warned you about a lot of these dudes now. They have been indoctrinated just as much as the women. And these high earning dudes are out here, they're over here getting bent over, doing weird stuff. And so like this Nala girl, Sally, I saw her man. Did you see this dude, Bronca, her husband?
I think there's a lot of guys today who are really kind of like OnlyFans girls. I mean, they made their money quick and easy through whatever social media or whatever. They got a channel, they got popular. Now they're making $1 million a year. But in a weird way, they didn't earn it. It was almost like a lottery win, Yeah. And there's a difference between people who work and earn their money and people who just luck into their money. You build a certain degree of character when you have to sacrifice and work for something that you don't build when you just, you're walking in the woods and you fall into a pit and it's full of money. And I think those guys, the guys who walk into the money pit almost by accident, they're the easy ones for the OnlyFans chicks to take advantage of.
Yeah, but let's face it, they were never attractive to women before. They let's use like Destiny as an example. This is a guy that you already know had low self-esteem, didn't have many options, and he wakes up one day and that's what it is. Sally, I saw that comment about Sex and the City, a show that virtually every girl watched at that time. Like damn near every female on earth watched that, right? Sally, have you looked into what happened to the creator of Sex and the City, Candace Bushnell? Have you ever looked into what happened to her fate?
Do you want to know a secret? I never saw it. I never saw Friends. I never saw Frasier.
I didn't watch it. I'm just aware of it.
Yeah, no, I'm not aware of it because I really started watching the news and paying attention to this social construct during 2020. I was in my own world, raising kids, listening to audiobooks. Like I was very naive to so many things in this world. My eyes
were literally
wide
under
open.
a rock. I mean, guys didn't watch Sex and the City. They were all aware. Just like Real Housewives, like Bronca.
No, but women were being brainwashed completely.
Yeah.
I mean, the generation of women I dated in my 30s, they were all Sex and the City women. Every single one of them.
Yep.
High-rise apartment.
If they weren't living that way, they were aspiring to live that way, right? They wanted the $500 heels. They wanted Mr. Big. They wanted the roster of dudes. They wanted unaccountable sex. And of course, the sex part they could all get because they were young, attractive women. The rest of it, they aspired to. And when they realized they couldn't achieve it themselves, they would just marry some simp who would buy it for them.
Yep.
Hold on, this is her husband right here.
Oh.
That would be him.
We'll see this guy in about 2 years.
Yeah.
One kid 2 years later. See how he's doing.
Let's see. Here's one more. Hold on.
Who is that big YouTube guy, social media guy we just saw?
Oh,
what the hell was he doing?
Girlfriend?
What in the world?
I'm trying to see. Can you read it?
Oh!
Is it Sneeko? It's the guy named Sneeko whose girlfriend was stepping out on him?
What in the world? What in the world?
I don't know who Sneeko is, so...
Well, Destiny's a good example, right? Destiny, they had this polyamorous, perfectly happy relationship. And then she just stepped out and banged another dude, left him, right?
Oh, no, the dude is actually a troon.
I don't know what
a troon?
Yeah. Transformer, a Decepticon. Dude trying on Sally's clothes. He ain't gonna last 2 years. So, Bronca, this is what bothers me about all of this, right? Is that dudes like this are the people that use faith as a shield, right? Like you can't criticize anything about my life because faith. You married a whore. We already know that you probably got skeletons in your closet. Anytime a dude is all over the top with faith, I actually use Bronca as an example when I tell this, because I remember we talked about this, and Bronca, you told us that it took you 7 years to find an acceptable church. You didn't say ideal, you said acceptable.
Acceptable, yeah. And this is I live in the most conservative county in Colorado, and that's how long it took. 7 years to find a church that was not repugnant. Yeah.
Yep.
That was not feminist controlled.
Correct.
Or just completely wishy-washy, and that actually would would give sermons where they would say like, this behavior is wrong. Took me 7 years to find a church that would say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about it like this though. Obviously feminism won. Like I said, I've always said feminism won 100 to nothing. There were no wins on the other side at all. Zero.
No.
There was no like. So Sally, if someone asked you name an anti-feminism win in the last, let's say 60 years, there none. Nuclear family's gone.
No.
The church.
I guess
No.
they might say the Supreme Court abortion decision.
But that wasn't feminism though. That was men.
No, but the
Champion.
feminists see it that way though.
Yeah.
The anti-abortion. Oh.
It's like if that's a one, if the score is 100 to 1, that's nothing to hang your hat on, right? Like
It's not real, of course, because all it did was send abortion back to the states. There's plenty of states that allow
Or
for
it should
abortion.
be.
So
Correct.
just drive to a different state. You know,
Yeah.
if you want an abortion, they're
Now,
happy to do
Bronca,
it.
that's actually what people in red states have done for years when their 16-year-old daughter is found out to be a whore, and they drive to a blue state. The same pastor who talks about, oh, that's evil, blah blah blah, because once again, as Bronca said, they have to hide their past. When you meet these chicks now, you don't know what similar would happen to your son. Think about it. Your son went through this as a mid-teens, right?
Yep.
In his mid-teens, he's already learning that these girls are hiding something. What do you think is going to happen to your son when he gets, let's say, so he's turning 19? What happens 10 years from now by the time he's 29 years old? How much do you think he's going to see? He's going to be looking like,
I think it's good for him. I think it's good for him.
It's great for him.
He's had his eyes opened early, so he's going in with open eyes.
What he told me, I'm not focused on my job.
It's much better than what happened to me. What happened to me is
my body. Yeah.
I got hoodwinked into marriage, an
Yeah.
actual marriage. I wasted 13 years of my life in a bad first marriage, like a prison sentence, 2 kids. And the first 3 years of the marriage were fine. The last decade was like a prison sentence. It was horrific. So
how does that
that's
happen?
how I learned my lesson. Well, I had 2 kids. I didn't want to lose access to my kids.
I understand that part, but like my thing is this. Was it a gradual decline, or was like did you feel like a switch got flipped?
No, it was like a switch. It was like a switch. But
She wanted kids and money.
I made every mistake under the book. So she was a few years older than me. Her biological clock was ticking. She just, I just didn't know any better. I was as naive as you could possibly be. So I was like,
you wanted a family.
Time for me to get married, have a couple kids. She's pretty. She's smart. Why not? We get along. Married her. 2 kids later, it was like a switch flipped.
She just wanted kids and money. She played the long game. She wanted to have children, and she
Most
wanted
common
to
thing
have
in the world.
forever.
Guy gets married, 2 kids, 5 years later, it's all over. It's a dead marriage.
Yeah, I talked to Sally about that, with the whole dead bedroom and all that, and none of this stuff really gets talked about because, as you know, Bronca, everyone has to perpetuate the lie, right? Like, oh no, marriage is so great, it's so perfect, it's this union under God. And blah. No, man, most people who are married are fucking miserable. Most of them aren't having sex. There's drugs involved. There's alcohol involved. There's cheating involved. There's infidelity. Like all these secrets. That's why you guys notice every time that another couple, long-term married couple in Hollywood just got divorced. Borat, Sacha Baron Cohen just got divorced from Isla Fisher. Someone had sent me that, and I was like, "Brock, it's the DJ Khaled, right? Another one, right? Every week you look up, it's someone new." And I truly believe this. For a field trip, Bronca, these young men should go to the family court for a field trip.
Oh yeah, it should be required in high school.
Required.
Ooh, that's a great idea. I'm gonna do that.
I mean, because you
don't really know. You don't know what a woman is until you see her in court.
Yep,
as a
that's the true version.
Then you know what she is.
That is the true her. Like it's not that. Yeah. That's not the angry version of her.
It's a wildebeest.
No, that the true version of her is in the courtroom. So when you see her doing all the manipulation, lying through her fucking teeth, making up stuff just to make you look bad, so they can get something. They can get a more advantageous verdict. That's
just because they're pissed. Just because they're pissed.
Yeah,
they'll burn a guy down just because they're mad at him. That's it.
So,
even if he doesn't have, even if he's dead broke and they can't possibly squeeze another penny out of him, they'll still go after him.
Yep.
And most of us know that roughly half of marriages end in divorce, right? 50%. What many people don't know is the half of marriages that don't end in divorce, half of them if you interview the people, they'll say they're unhappy in the marriage. So the failure rate of marriage is really 75%, because a lot of people stay married because they don't want the cost, or they don't want to lose their kids, or so it's not 50% divorce doesn't capture the whole thing. It's actually
I say 5% are happy.
3 chances out of 4 you're gonna end. If you're a dude, you're gonna end up in an unhappy marriage.
And don't forget about the guys who have been cuckolded, the guys who have, dead bedroom, the guys who get disrespected.
Are those
day.
kids yours? Are you sure?
Oh, yeah. Are those kids yours? Was it paternity fraud can't even be challenged in the country of France, right? Can't even challenge.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a practical matter. You can't challenge it here.
Yep.
I mean, I know plenty of guys who, 3-4 years in, somebody has to go for surgery or something. A blood test is not done. They discovered the kids aren't theirs, and they go to get divorced, and the court says, sorry, you established a father relationship with this child.
Yeah, it's
totally
yours, fair, right?
As far as we're concerned.
Have you guys paid attention to the Not Honest Jared video that's come out recently about Crowder? About how he's
I'm aware.
Do you know about that at all,
vaguely
Bronca?
aware.
I mean,
the
I'm
lawsuit?
aware of that. Like, I'm aware of Ben Shapiro and Knowles, and I don't really follow this stuff, but
Yeah.
it comes across my Twitter feed, so I'm vaguely aware.
I was just curious because everything just revolves around lawsuit. I just didn't know if you had looked into it. Also, it seems like everything that's going on with Crowder seems like it all stems from his divorce and people trying to take him down. And I just didn't know. I don't think they released the court documents. Go ahead.
So just what I know from human experience, Crowder's wife obviously set him up. I mean, this is obviously orchestrated. The video release, all that. And what I see from this Jared guy's, what he's filing or claims to be filing in court is nonsense. I mean, it's complaining about non-competes and non-solicitation and non-disparagement clauses. These are all normal business contracts. I mean, I've had to sign them. Anyone serious in business has had to sign them. They're not unusual. And it just seems to me like an orchestrated attack to go after Crowder. And listen, I'm no Crowder fan. I don't know Crowder. I don't watch his stuff. I don't care about him personally. But my sense as a lawyer who's had some experience in family law stuff, it looks to me like an orchestrated attack on Crowder.
Well, you got to do the character assassination, which is what happened with Destiny, right? Where when Destiny's marriage dissolved, predictably, what's the very first thing she did, Bronca? Went to the friends, make it.
And by the way, I don't even like Destiny. I think Destiny's an idiot. What I see in him, he's not a very bright person. But it seems exactly the same. He's being subjected to the same punishment scheme.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, like, in the end result is going to be the same, which is, Sally, your son will one day be the next man up, right? He'll be marriageable age, right? He's going to be, good-looking kid. He's got, he's got some money in his pocket. He's going to be making more money. He's going to gain more value. And when he gets to that age, like, Mom, I'm thinking about, starting a family. He's going to be that age, like I said, mid to late 20s, where he's going to look around and be like, so these are my options, huh? This is it.
Yeah.
I mean, so I can tell you. So I've got 4 kids. 2 of them are little, but 2 of them are adults, and I've got a lot of nephews and nieces who are adult age. They're not getting married.
Yep.
If they're successful, they're just not getting married. Especially the guys, and a few of the guys they're quite successful. They've become lawyers or doctors or whatever. They're just playing the field. Now they're 40. It sounds weird for me to say because I remember them as little kids, of course, but I'm almost 60. So now they're approaching 40. They're still playing the field. They're just dedicated life bachelors and having a great time.
This is what's crazy is I have my daughter's 21, my son's 18, and you can already see kind of, you guys were talking about the differences of men versus women, and men will sacrifice anything for a spouse or a girlfriend or a partner. They'll not even if they didn't have that, they're by nature, they're very giving. And women and other people don't realize that this is kind of like something that must be ingrained in you, but like my daughter, kind of like more of the what about me type personality. And my son, like I'll be sitting here doing a stream and all of a sudden the door cracks open and he'll slide some food on the floor or he'll bring someone. Don't ask him to do it. He just does it. He'll go get something for him to eat. I don't ask him. He brings me something home to eat. He's just very thoughtful, very giving by nature. I see the difference very much. Like for my daughter, I would have to ask her to do something like that. He does his own laundry. I never told him to do his own laundry because I do laundry. He just started doing it because he wanted to feel like an adult and do his own laundry. was like,
And your
wow.
son recognizes that you sacrificed for him, right? Men will do anything
Yes.
for a woman who sacrifices for him, who
Yes.
brings loyalty, fertility, virginity, relatively, for 2024
Yeah.
to the table, and is committed to that man. That man will die for her.
Yeah.
But men are easily abused because they have that sentiment. So if a woman can fake that,
Yes.
so this
Yes.
used to be a problem in the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon, right? 1800,
Yeah.
1812,
Yeah.
1814, Waterloo, all this. The British had a military force that was extremely disciplined. They would do whatever you told them to do, whatever you ordered them to do. But if they were ever handed over to a bad general and that bad general misused those disciplined troops, they would stand in line and get mown down by Napoleon's cannons. They would all die right there. They'd get slaughtered. They'd stand in line. They would never retreat. They all got shot in the front. But if they were badly used, they all got annihilated. That's what happens to good men. Good men do the right thing. They commit themselves to their women. They'll kill themselves working. But if they're being misused by a bad woman, that woman will slaughter them where they stand. All the wounds will be to the front, but they'll still be killed.
Yeah.
And what will happen is what ends up happening is when you do have a loyal man and you do have someone that say has 4 or 5 kids, what that man will do is he will keep doing that sacrifice. But once those kids are at an age where they can fend for themselves or out of the house, 26 years later, 30 years later, and he's taken all this abuse, there he goes. And he's not going to put up with that ever again.
If he's been subject to abuse, yeah, right. Why
That's what
stay?
I mean. Yeah.
Right.
You'll
But if he
stay for the
hasn't,
kid.
guys have been
Loyal.
through it. A lot of guys go through all forms of abuse, and I mean, male abuse is either ridiculed, mocked, ignored. It's never really taken seriously. And Sally, like I look at you're talking about the differences in your kids, right? And one of the main differences I saw, and this is the reason why when I say that hoes can't be redeemed, it's because my issue with women is this: there's never any introspection. You see what I'm saying? Like,
they don't really want to be redeemed. So if you don't want to be redeemed, you
that's
can't
why.
be saved.
I mean, what's the old saying, right? Don't save these hoes; they don't want to be saved. One of the things that I thought about today, Sally, I had this epiphany over the last couple of days where I thought to myself, I was like, do you know what? You want me to tell you a key difference between men and women? Like one of the ultimate key differences. If I were to say, Bronca, think about the men in your life, right? Guys out here, we're doing our thing, guys making money, right? If you ask them, what are you looking forward to the most in the rest of 2024, right? Do you know what men always say, Sally? Always, without fail. You know what they say? It's always something that benefits other people. You see what I'm saying? I'm taking the kids here. I can't wait to do this for my mom. I'm paying off this for this. It's always something that's giving. When you ask women,
Yeah.
Bronca, females, their whole thing is I'm looking for someone to use. Use. And I started thinking about this because like the things that I'm looking forward to the most is my daughter's about to come over here, so we're going to go on another trip. I was telling Sally earlier, so we're going to go on a trip. My daughter gets a new iPhone later this year because she has a 12, and when phones are 4 years old, they start getting janky. So I'm buying my mom an iPhone 16 Pro Max. There's all these things I'm going to do, taking trips. There's things I want to buy. There's things I want to experience, right? Because she likes art. So I'm taking her on all these places, just like when I promised her when she was a kid, when she was 54 inches tall, I swore to her I was going to take her around the entire country to go amusement park to amusement park because she was big into it's like, Dad, I can't wait to I'm a big kid. So we kept measuring her, and once she got that magic height, Bronca, I went and bought the passes from Cedar Fair Entertainment, who owns all those parks, right? And we just started hitting them, right? Every other weekend, just bam, just hitting them back to back to back. We were all over the country. I was out in Vallejo at Six Flags. We did Great America, which was the worst one. Cedar Point, we just everywhere, right? All over in Florida. My mind, and this happens when men get a raise. Sally, when men get a raise, do you know what the first thought that comes to their mind? Man, I can't.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it
wife.
is. Hey, babe, this is what he would say. Hey, babe, I got a bonus. Like you haven't been shopping for a while.
Yep.
Would could you use some money to go shopping? And half the time I say, no, let's just save it. Let's put it away. But, but that's the first thing he does. Hey,
It's the
got some extra money.
Thing. But
He
now,
asks me
Sally,
every
with
time.
most women, right? Women, this is a generality, right?
Of
in
course.
general, when chicks get like when a chick gets some large sum of money or she gets a huge promotion at work, she's like, I don't need this fucking guy. Fuck him. It's Braga. Think about that.
I can't
When
tell you
men-
how many women I know who, like, I knew a chick who decided she wanted to get into entertainment. She was gonna like manage an arena, like where bands go and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
And she was terrible at it. She was just a horrific failure. But she managed to book one band on one weekend, and she got
Oh,
like a $20,000 paycheck for booking for one weekend after a year of failure. And you know how she computed that in her mind? Well, now I make $20,000 a weekend.
Yep.
She did
and it was
that.
one
She
time.
extrapolated. It was only one check, but she just imagined that meant she's going to get that check every month for the rest of the year. So really, she's making $1 million a year. How
Yep.
awesome is that? They're insane. It's like
insanity. It's pure insanity.
they oh my god, I don't know how to say it politely, but it's almost like if
Just
you
say-
gave a
just
dog
be-
a
just be
paycheck.
blunt.
It's like they don't know what they're doing with it.
It's
And it's also the point of the value of the wealth creation, right? So if you told the guy, listen, for the next 24 hours, you can make $1,000 an hour. You know what that guy's going to do? He's going to make $24,000. He's going to work all 24 hours and
Yep.
make it that. If you tell a woman for the next 24 hours, you can make $1,000 an hour. You know what she's going to do? She's going to work 1 hour
One
and take the
hour.
rest of the day off because she
Yep.
made $1,000. It's a lot of money.
that's a lot of money. It's good. I can go shopping. Damn, I'm broke. I'm in debt. Sally, I have seen this time and again. I shit you not.
I know you
single
guys
man I've
see this.
ever
I'm baffled
seen.
because I hear you guys because I
Right now,
haven't
we
seen
understand you're an outlier. My wife
Oh,
is the
yeah,
same way
oh,
as you,
no.
Sally.
I'm just
She
saying I'm
doesn't deal
baffled.
with
I'm
money
like-
like this.
No,
Like
I'm
describing.
learning. No, I'm learning from you guys. Like because I want to know how guys. I want to know how guys think. I have a son. I have a guy, and if you don't understand how the world is and how women think, both directions. So
Mhm.
women, if they were to come watch this, they can either take offense by this, or they can be, gosh, these
Or they
guys
can
are
learn.
right. How can I change?
They
Right.
How
could.
could yeah?
Well,
They
women-
don't-
women-
don't-
I don't believe they're capable, Bronca. I don't believe women are really capable of learning
Well,
because
maybe
are.
1 or 2%.
yeah. We're okay. So
Yeah.
Sally, this is no bullshit. Literally, like women who can learn are literally just like. So when I make these these generalizations, I'm literally saying it's virtually all, but there are outliers, right? Like
I saw a
yeah.
comment earlier. It said, "What percentage of women are you talking about, Branca?"
Oh,
and
stop.
I'll tell you, it's like 98%.
it's not.
So
Yeah,
I'm not saying
close
everybody.
call.
It's not all
No,
women.
Now,
but
now,
It's
Sally,
damn near all women.
Sally, do you know that the divorce rate when a woman out earns a man is over 90%?
I wouldn't doubt that because
But when men can make $1 million a fucking year, Braca, the woman makes nothing. Men never they never will once walk into a house and look at her like, ugh, she's so fucking beneath me. A chick makes $1 more than you, Braca. Ugh, I can't believe he's just sitting on his ass right now. Not
No,
knowing that
well-
the guy just worked 16 hours.
unless he really is sitting on his ass.
A wealthy man will walk into McDonald's and see an
I'm
attractive girl
wealthy.
behind the counter and say, "I want her."
I want her. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they just want simplicity. They want women. This is one thing that I've learned, and you guys validated what my guide already taught me. When I would have a bad day or was frustrated, he'd come home from work and I'm just like, "Nee, nee." He's like, I want peace. Okay.
Yeah.
We need to, like, you want to have this conversation. Let's set aside time and let's have this conversation where you can vent. But when I come home from work, I'm tired. I've dealt with, I need this
Yeah.
all day long. And my brain's fried. So my ability to be patient with you and to hear you is zero. So that was the one thing that I learned. The men want peace.
Well, Sally,
You do your
for-
house.
for men-
cleaning, don't bitch.
Men have to learn an important. They don't have to if they want to, but normally men are going out fighting the world, right? Everyone's trying to beat us. We're competing with everyone. If we make $100, it's $100 somebody else didn't make. We had to be smarter, better, work harder than them all fucking day. That's not emotional. That's rational. We had to be smarter, better, work harder than them. And then we come home and we have to deal with a woman. And the first thing we have to realize is she's not interested in smart, more rational, harder working. She's interested in how she feels. So the first thing we have to do is like completely switch gears to like a feminine mindset and say, what matters to her is not reason or fact or reality. What matters to her about however she feels in this particular situation. So if we're going to communicate with her, we have to forget problem solving. We have to forget everything that we think that in fact does actually matter in the real world. and we just have to get into this very feminine emotional state.
Yeah, just listening.
I can
to
tell
them
you,
bullshit.
I don't do that. I
It's-
can't do
Well,
that.
Because
we've actually came to the
I'll fix the
resolution.
problem.
He's like, we had to come to the point where it's like, I would tell him something and I'm just venting because I'm a girl and emotional. And he's like, give me all these solutions. Right. And I'm
Yep.
like, "No, I know. I do know. He's like, okay. So now he's like, am I fixing the problem or am I listening to you? Are you
Am I
coming to
listening?
the,
Yeah.
yeah, because we
That's
had to
it.
do that so that then it was the right communication. But before he would make an assumption. I'm like, no, I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to hear me. So I quit unless it was a matter of import. I didn't use him as my bitching stone or my venting. I found someone else to vent to, a girlfriend or whatever. If it's not worth his brain power to spend doing that, then find something else unless it directly involves him and something he can fix.
Now, Sally,
Right
I
now,
gotta say this.
I'm good at a handful of things. So
Uh-oh.
I'm good with tools. I'm good at making money. I can ride a motorcycle. I can do that kind of stuff. I'm a pretty good father, I'd like to think. My bandwidth for being emotionally sensitive is very limited. So the women I'm in a relationship with have to decide, do they want a man or do they want a girlfriend?
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
good at the man part. If they need a girlfriend, then they need to go find a girlfriend.
Well, I think that's one of the big problems, though, right? Is that you're starting to see this whole generation of women who are like this. I want my guy to basically, either replace or supplement the girlfriend, right? So that's the reason why, like you said, when they were like, if you vent to any man, Sally, this is how they're designed. Men are their brains. They go like this. How do I fix this problem? Because you came to me talking
Yes.
about a problem. So literally, as you're talking, he's like this. His brain's going like this. How do we fix it? How do we fix it? And then when you guys yell back at us, we're like, we're trying to fix the problem. I thought that's what you wanted. And this is the thing. I'm actually gonna give women a little bit of insight right now into how you guys become cum dumpsters, right? I'm gonna explain this. Bronca, do you remember when you made a genuine effort? Remember that? You made like a genuine effort, right? And you really did try. And then do you know what started happening? What Sally kind of describes, right? There was like the bitching thing where instead of like, she was like, oh, I just want to vent to you. You're like, okay, so that's not very fun. Then it became, all right, you know what? I'll tell you what's fun, Bronca. I like going to the movies. I'll take her to the movies. And every guy can relate to this, Sally. If you take a female to a movie, you haven't fucking seen it. I haven't fucking seen it. Bronca, tell me what happens when you take a woman to a movie that neither one of you have seen. What does she do?
If she didn't pick it, she's completely disinterested.
Or if it is interesting, what will she do? If let's just say it's a good movie for both of you. What's she gonna do? Neither one of you has seen it. But what's she gonna do?
Complain.
No, she asks questions that you don't fucking know because you're both.
What happens now?
Yeah, what happens? Is that the guy? Is he the killer? You're sitting there like, what the fuck? Why are you like this?
By the
Why
way,
can't
if you have
just
seen
be
it
better?
and you tell her the answer, she hates you for that.
Then she hates you. Yeah. So Sally, can you see where? Okay, do you see how men we start you up here, right? And then each activity that we try to. Hey, you ever had this one, Bronca? That'd be really fun if I took her out to this event. Oh, she bitched and complained. That'd be really awesome if we traveled together. Oh, there was complaint. So everything that we try to do, right? You guys just keep on. So eventually we go like this. Bronca, what is she good for? Oh,
You should take the movie thing as a complete compliment because that just means that she thinks that you're so smart and she's asking you because she's just assuming that you should know and be able to guess.
No.
By the way.
When Sally, do you have any idea how insufferable it is? Because remember, we are trying to we're trying to take in every aspect of the movie. And when you're sitting there, Bronca, you're like this, right? You're think you're like, this is a really good movie. And someone's like, oh, what is that guy? What did he say? You're sitting there looking like, what the fuck are we watching the same movie and you don't know anything ever? Ever. And he's like, there's this moment where like you sit there, Bronca, have you ever done the long side where you go like this? She's saying something, you just go like this.
Well, Drex, they invented ball gags for a reason.
I actually fucking have one. I gotta find it. But Sally, can you see how like one group is being rational, sane, and the other group is just flying off the handle? And like, even with this, and that's the reason why when Bronca talks about how like a moment's unhappiness, right? Even the OnlyFans thing, the German Shepherds, even the OnlyFans thing, right? That kind of comes from a place of like, I want to do this thing. And what does the dude say, Bronca? Just like when a girl says she wants to do girls' nights out, the guy is trying to literally protect you from yourself, right? We're like, hey, this is life ruination. Don't be out here putting your butthole in front of a camera. Fuck you, you can't tell me what to do. Okay,
a few years ago, a bunch of the neighborhood ladies here were like, "Oh, we're going on a Vegas girls trip," and my wife is like, "All the neighborhood ladies are going on a Vegas girls trip." I'm like, "Well, you can go, but don't come back.
Don't come back. Don't come
Do
back.
you want to hear what's funny? So, Legal Vices was going to do a Vegas trip, and some of the females on the stream, when I was on the stream with them, they're like, "Oh, you can come back?" Yeah. And they're like, "Well, do you want to share a hotel room with us?" I'm like, "Well, I doubt I'll be going to Vegas without my guy." They're like, "You can't go to Vegas by yourself." I'm like, "I probably could, but that's not a place that I would go without him." Like, it's like, I could, and he'd probably say yes, but the whole time he'd be, "Is she making good choices?" But there would just be this constant worry. And I'm like, I'm not going to go just because I want to do it without him if I did. So I'm like,
Sally,
I
it's
probably
so
wouldn't share a
easy for
hotel.
guys to go places like Vegas and not get into that kind of trouble in terms of infidelity. Like, yeah, I've been to Vegas, I don't know, 35 times maybe. Obviously, my parents live out there. I can tell you right now, Bronca, to this day, Vegas is one of the most, obviously it's become a shithole lately due to the California vagabonds, right? But ever since I was a kid, I went to Vegas for the first time in 1993, right? And fell in love. And Vegas is a soothing place for me. It's not, I don't drink and do drugs. So when I go out there, I'm like this. Best people watching in the world is where, Bronca? Vegas. It's great people watching.
I gotta admit, I really like Vegas. I don't gamble.
Yeah, I don't gamble. Yeah.
I really like Vegas. If you have money to spend, Vegas is a very nice place to visit.
Very fun.
Really good hotels, really good restaurants. It's
Yep.
really nice. I've been to Vegas when I was poor, and that wasn't nearly as much fun. But I like Vegas. But I've gone to Vegas tons of times without my wife. I've never gotten in trouble. But I've also seen what the ladies groups are like in Vegas.
Yep.
And they are looking to get railed by D.
That's right.
Like you cannot imagine.
Yeah, no, Bronca.
And even if you're not looking for that, guys are going to assume that, and you're putting yourself in a situation you should not be in. Like, you go to a bar, it's really easy to put something into a drink, because they're assuming that you're there, you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm not saying it happens, but it is a potential. You're putting yourself at risk.
It's like dropping an alcoholic
in
a vat of whiskey. I mean, it's
they're bound to do it. And Sally, when I was with Bronca in Nashville, we saw it right then and there, right in front of us, right? 4K. It's nothing but hoeing going on. That's all that, like, every girl's trip, every bachelorette party, the only thing females do, because Bronca, to your point at the start of the show, right? When they're always seeking attention and validation, they're seeking in that. So when you remove their men, right? Whether father, brother, husband, or boyfriend, when you
leave women to their own devices,
the only thing they will do is hoe shit. And I've heard people say that's not true, Drex. Oh, really? Well, let's look.
It's mostly true. That's
mostly true. Watch this. So, Sally, left to their own devices, do women dress conservatively or very seductively? Right? If no one tells them what they can wear.
If I'm going out of town and I'm not in my own state and no one sees me, I'm dressing for the nightlife, right? That's what
you
you're
know how
do.
men dress?
It's
the same.
Casual, comfy.
The fucking same. Hey, Bronca.
Yeah.
Unless there's like an event that you're going to, right? Like, oh yeah, I have to be for this event. Guys, here's the difference. Men are always the same. We're like this. Men are stoic. They are the same fucking guy. Women, to Bronca's point earlier, they're always trying to like put on a different hat to be a different whole personality. So like, one minute it's, oh, I'm a fun party girl. Next minute, no, I'm a good girl. That's what. Do you know where you see this, Sally? In the courtroom. Every dude who gets Me Too'd, Bronca, do you ever notice they're like looking at the chick like,
Amber Heard?
What the fuck? Like, because they know the real version of this woman, right? Or what they believe is real. She's batshit crazy. Maybe she's a sex pot. She shows up to court. She puts on the outfit. Just a poor little girl. I don't know. That's why all the women who accuse Harvey Weinstein. Mark, have you ever seen that collage where they show all the women who made these comments about him? So these women make these comments about Harvey, right? Like, he was a monster. I was so scared. And they show all these photos. Like, we have images and video of you hugging and kissing him all on the red carpet on multiple occasions. When you said he abused you, You said he abused you in February. This is you in April, May, and then we saw you again in November. What happened? I thought he was a monster. And then he just, what he really did is he was so powerful. He just intimidated. Oh, okay. Now it's that.
You and me will always disagree on this because I do think there's a women's personality that is kind of like, that's what I was telling you before, is women not putting yourself in a situation where that can happen to you, because there is this thing, if there is a powerful man and you are kind of a submissive type, you might feel like you can't say no. No, I'm speaking honestly, but that's why you don't put yourself in those situations. You don't go to a hotel room to meet a guy just to get a job.
So that can happen. I can believe that. That doesn't happen when young women go to Hollywood and get in front of major producers. They know exactly what they're there for.
They know exactly what's going on.
Exactly what
I don't
they're
live in Hollywood. Like, I'm just saying, for me, if I could see myself.
But we were talking about Harvey Weinstein.
Pleaser. Yeah, but I'm a people pleaser, and so I have to. I don't want to make someone. I've overcome this, but I don't want to make someone feel bad, and so I won't. I'll just kind of like, yes, you wouldn't know this. Yes, Drex, you don't know this about me.
Sally, stop. Look.
No, I have been taken advantage of by so many times because I am the people pleaser. I went to therapy, and the therapist says, you need to learn how to be a bitch. You need to bring out your inner bitch, because I was not capable of it. She had to teach me, and I still struggle with that. Yes, it's a thing. Don't look at me like that. It's real.
Young women go to Hollywood for the explicit purpose of trading their sexual attraction for roles.
That's right.
That's why they're there.
That's the only reason why they're there.
That's the trade. I'm young. I'm hot. I can trade that sexuality.
Yeah, I'm gonna get fucked by a multi-million-dollar Weinstein, so I can be in the.
Do you think they all know that going into it, though?
All of them going to Hollywood.
Yes,
100%.
Every single one.
100%.
Every single one.
No question.
That's why all these allegations are bullshit. When these
Harvey,
women say
Harvey Weinstein is not going out to Bend, Oregon to find hot chicks. They're coming to him.
They're coming to him. Yep.
Yeah, but do you think that they really think that? Because like I'm saying that there's probably a lot that do, but I'm just thinking that there's a lot of naive ones that don't.
No.
Sally, women sleep with a guy for dinner. You think they're not going to sleep with Harvey Weinstein for a multi-million-dollar acting career?
Okay, I'm just saying, I said, I grew up very sheltered. I'm speaking from my perspective, and this is why I'm having this conversation with you, because I want to understand and I want to see things differently. I've seen the world through naive eyes for a long time.
Girls are not naive. They're not naive.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't
look at me like that, Drex. That I am this person? I am the same person.
Now, Sally, I love me some you, but I'm always shocked when someone's like, these girls go on the casting couch and don't know what it is. Like, they all know. Sally, every single one. Like trust me. I'll give you an example. If a girl, that would be the equivalent of saying a girl went on Tinder, swiped right, matched with a dude, and he goes, meet me at my hotel. Bronco, what if that same girl told you he took advantage of me, and I was just going up there to talk. At 2 in the morning.
Guy calls the girl at 3 a.m. says, "Hey, can I stop by?" And the girl says, "Sure, stop by."
Sure.
Does she think he's coming over to read poetry?
Yeah, Sally, even if you are naive, what do you think the guy wants to do? If your daughter said, "Hey, mom, this guy is on the other line with me. He wants to come to my place." Let's say your daughter has an apartment. He wants to come to my place at 2 in the morning. What do you say?
Well, she's on Tinder. I would say he wants to bang. Like, I'm not stupid. I know.
Even if you were the most naive person in the world, right? Like a literal, let's say you were a fucking, let's say, what's like a age where they're not sexual, but they would know. Even like a 10-year-old. A 10-year-old would know that. Like, hey, why do you think this? Remember, like the way people are dressed, right? That really says a lot, right? Like, how are you dressed? And you're sort of looking like a 10-year-old could go, "Oh, this is gonna be like one of those naughty movies I saw."
But if they thought they were going for an interview because this person works late, like I could see like the big portion.
He shows up in a fucking robe.
No 20-year-old meeting with a major Hollywood producer thinks she's just showing up for some job interview.
It's a job interview. I want to be an assistant. Look,
you don't think there's outliers that were caught off guard?
No.
Outliers, sure.
Yeah.
99% of women, no.
No. Bronca.
No,
I
I'm
mean, I
talking
guess
about
not.
like a 1 or 2. I'm not. You're saying
Yeah,
100%.
no.
But I'm saying that there's got to be at least an outlier. That's
See, now you're doing
Sally.
the low now you're doing the
Sally.
low IQ argument. You're
none.
saying not every, not
Not
all.
every.
There's exceptions.
Actually, hey, Bronca.
Yes, I guess a
No, I'm
retarded
just
woman
asking
might find her
genuinely.
way to Hollywood.
Yeah. Like literally one.
I'm
Hey, Bronca,
asking
what did you think of
genuinely.
the?
I'm not saying one way or another because I don't know. Like I was just baffled. I thought there was a percentage that
No,
Make
Sally.
a clue.
Vince McMahon. Did you ever read what happened with the Vince McMahon case? Did you actually read that shit?
the Vince McMahon one.
He shit on her
Oh,
forehead.
I heard
Allegedly.
stuff about it,
It
but
was
I
all
didn't buy
kinds of
that.
weirdo stuff.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
here's the thing.
No. Yeah.
She came. Some of what Bronca said. Hey, Bronca, do you think Vince McMahon like went after her, or did she came to him?
She came to him.
She came to him.
Of course.
It was all fine until she didn't like the deal anymore.
So she
I
didn't
mean,
like the
No,
deal, and all of a
that
sudden,
was obvious to me. That one's
she's
obvious to me.
suddenly the poor little baby in the woods, right?
No, that one's obvious to me. There's certain things that are obvious to me. I'm just saying the Hollywood thing was not obvious to me because I either always assumed that it was young kids who were like on Disney, they kind of take away from their parents and they're groomed a certain way and then they move to the next level. And so I can see those ones knowing what it's all about. No, you can look at me like that, but I am assuming I did not think, I thought that there was a couple that I just thought they got taken off guard, and this was just something that just happened. Like Justin Bieber, do you think that he thought that he was gonna, at 14 years of age, was gonna go meet Diddy,
Usher and
and that
Diddy?
he was gonna have all this stuff happen to him and totally ruin his whole childhood?
I don't think
No.
boys know. I don't think boys know because boys view the world differently. So like, here's the thing: boys view the world in terms of a meritocracy. Like if Bronca is a well-respected like drummer, and I'm a drummer, and I want to get into that same industry he's in, I see him as like a version of myself. Like, man, if I could get, he's rich and famous. He's one of the guys I respect. I want to, and he invited me to his place to like, I'm gonna like learn the drums, learn the industry. That's the way dudes think because guys don't look at other dudes, who are heterosexual.
Yeah, I
They
think
don't
it's
look at them
actually it's more shocking for the guys actually.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's far more
I
shocking.
totally believe. I'm not
And
going
it's
to
more
name names because
shameful.
I don't know, but I think there's
Yeah.
high profile actor, entertainment male stars who I see just observing look to me like they were normal and suddenly they were broken people.
Yep.
And I'm sure it was because of sexual abuse, but I think it's actually worse for the guys because I think the guys go in and they actually think they're just applying for whatever
Correct.
an acting job or a
And with
music
another
job.
male.
And,
With
Yeah,
another
and they
male.
don't
So
know
he's a
they
face.
don't know they're asking
Yeah.
to get raped.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true of most of the women. I think the women intuitively know when you're asking a powerful man for favors, the prospect that he's going to ask for sex in return is not surprising.
Yeah. So I'll give you an
for women, that's
example.
natural.
So I'll give you an example. So I think it was after I'd had my daughter. So I was 25 years of age and I had a lady because I used to do like fitness competition. So I was in shape and I ate well and I took care of myself. And she's like, hey, I would like you to go down to Vegas with me and I want you to be my model for this clothing. And so she made this clothing line. It was mostly like swimsuits and, do like a catalog thing. And I was like, okay. So she's like, I'll come down to this trade show. We get down there. We're in the same hotel. Like she's a female. She's in her 40s. And I guess she was an ex-stripper, like me being a non-judgy person, like whatever, no red flags. So I get down there and I do the show, make her tons of money. She sells a bunch of product. And so she takes me out to dinner. We're at the dinner and this is really weird because she's like, oh yeah, I just really like oysters. They're just so good. It's almost like I think they're gross, but she liked girls and she liked to go down on girls. And I had no clue because I didn't know that's what she was talking about. And then we get back to the hotel and then she starts like, I don't know these things. I've never been around girls that like girls. And she's 45, I'm 25 and she's like hitting on me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm getting out of here. But like, it was really awkward. But I don't know. It's just like that stuff was just weird to me. Like, but I'm sure that happens, I guess, in Hollywood all the time.
Yeah,
No.
it's a
What?
little different.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I'm sure it's different, but that's like that's my only experience in that world. Is all I'm saying is like I have no clue.
You're saying like the base premise of like an older, more established person trying to like groom the younger. Yeah, that part has always been there. Always.
Yeah, I'm just saying I had no clue, and I still didn't. I was just like, whatever. I blew that push on my mind and never went back. I quit.
But Sally, your experience is actually very similar to the male experience because you saw a woman who was older, more established, kind of like what we just said with Bronca, where it's like you, as a heterosexual, you didn't go in there being like, oh yeah, surely this woman's going to try to make a move on me. You're thinking like, oh yeah, she's another woman.
But
That's
Sally,
how
what if
you-
it was a male? What if it had been a male, not a woman?
Oh, would never stay in
Did
the
you-
same room. Would have
course
gone
not.
down there.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And if you
Yeah.
had stayed in the same room, you would have known what to expect, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like
Well,
that.
that's our
Yes.
point.
Yes.
That's our point. When
Yeah.
these actresses go to these male studio heads and they're 18 years old and he's the head of a major studio, they know what they're getting into.
They know
They
exactly.
may as well be
what's
staying
going
in a motel room with them.
on. Yep.
But when a guy goes into the same situation, it's much more like your situation. He's like, well, I don't have any reason to think this guy's going to want to F me.
Oh, yeah.
Except he does.
Yep.
That's what I was relating it, that I could understand just from that perspective, is that
Correct.
these boys
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
they're
What you
safe.
experienced was what the dudes experienced when they're like, oh, I'm meeting with Usher. I'm meeting with Diddy. I'm, you know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
this
but
is
she only
great.
has a vagina, so it's not like she's a threat to me. Like these males go in with these other males, there's more trauma that happens in that situation.
Especially when you start talking about like 14, like think about what that, like you guys remember when Bieber didn't have all the tattoos and getting into the trouble.
Yes.
Look, what kind of psychological damage do you think happened to him after all the abuse?
Yeah. I
Did
mean,
you hear a
saying?
song?
I hate to even name individuals because I feel so bad for them. And of course, I don't
do
really
as
know what
well.
happened to them. I just observed them. But there's various musicians and various actors. We all know they're 13, 14, 15 years old. They get a break in a big movie or deal or whatever, and they look perfectly normal. And then you see them 2 years later, and they're effed up. They're just not, they're not the
Yeah.
same person anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Either it's face tattoos or their behavior is completely changed. And I know in
Yeah.
a metaphorical sense, I know what happened.
Yep.
Oh, yep. Well, I've seen videos that I never want to see, that I've never shared back on like Twitter, because I will share stuff that, like, because I think people should know, but I'm like, I don't want to see this video of this kid ever again in my life. But all I'm saying is these parents that are grifting off of their children, trying to write off their coattails because they are lacking something. For any parent that lets their kid go to Hollywood without that parent present in every single situation, bar none, ought to be in jail. If anything
Yeah,
ever happens
it's-
to their children.
Well, Sally, this is the thing. Shaq actually talked about this, where he talked about the difference between having sons and daughters, and like, you know, sons like get the fuck out of the house, right? And then the girls like, yeah, stay here. And there were people out there that were kind of mad about that, like, yo, what the hell, man? And I said, look,
No.
Bronca, as my daughter ages and gets closer to, you know, to being 18, you know, she still got some years ago. High school graduation can happen years from now. And guess what, Bronca? I'm not the dude saying, yeah, get out there. No college. Nope. What about, you know, her getting her own place, Drex? Nope. Stay right
Nope.
here. Stay right here. Because all the hardships makes boys better, right? It makes them to better men. Whatever a female goes
Yeah,
through,
send your sons out to be broke. I think that's a good plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
Send your sons out to be broke. Make them
Yep.
work their fucking asses off. They'll
Yep.
they'll
They
figure it
all-
out, or they won't.
They had all of the hardship. That's why when a guy shows up and they talk like me, they talk like Bronca, they come with certain life experiences, and people are like, oh, he talks so harsh. And it's like, Bronca and I have been through shit. We've seen shit. Like, so when we're saying these things and people think like, oh, it's just the people he's around, we're like, no, it really isn't. It's when you really have lived it, you know. With daughters, you must protect them from the world. That's because remember, if purity is women's greatest selling point, right? That's the youth, beauty, fertility, purity, right? The submission. Because
Agreeableness.
agreeableness, because
It's part of
you know
youth.
all that, you know where all that comes from, Sally? Go talk to a girl with a body count of 0 who's young. Now go talk to that, we fast forward that girl decided to go
1 month later.
One
I
month
don't even
later.
have to talk to them. You can see it.
You can see it.
They
You can see it in their eyes.
They lose
right?
light. Yes, they're not
They
innocent.
lose
They're
the
it's like
light.
this giddy. It's like they get giddy over
They're
simple
so
things,
giddy
right?
and girlish and stuff, and that is very attractive to basically all people, right? And the older women hate that because they can never get it back, right? They can never get
You
that.
never get it back. It's like
They
losing
can
a
never
leg.
get. Yep.
Yep.
So they want to destroy it. There are dudes out
You
there.
can
who
only
want to
give it away
exploit it.
once, so make sure
Only
it's
once.
special.
So-
One
so
time
some-
you only give that. You can only give that away once, so you make sure it's with someone that you plan to be with or you hope to be with. Preferably till you're married, but it better be with someone. You don't give it away for free.
Look at
ever.
it like this though. This is why I called it the paradox. Bronca, imagine being a virgin girl now, right? You're a nice girl, you're a sweet girl. Imagine the pressure that's there because of the culture, right? Because of all the hooking up. So what's going to happen is a girl
Yeah.
who's like, "Oh no, I'm traditional. I wait till marriage." Bronca, think about how men are conditioned now, right? They've grown up with nothing but hoes, right? And a female says,
Yeah.
no sex or marriage. A dude's sitting there like, hold up, is this a Nala? Is this a born again Christian? Did she get what is it the vaginal surgery? They have vaginal rejuvenation surgery because these chicks have gotten their pussies blown.
Yeah, but all
out.
that means is that
I
young
thought it was
girl
because they
who's-
had kids. I was kidding.
No, again, the kids.
I'm
that
kidding.
that young girl who's a virgin shouldn't be dating guys her own age. First of all,
She
she
should not.
shouldn't be dating.
Yeah,
Dating
yep.
is a modern construct. There used to be courting. Courting
That's
is
what I was
when
going to say. Courting.
you identified a partner for purposes of marriage. So now
Yes.
it's like women hit 30 and they're like, well, now I'm dating with intent for marriage. No, there used to be nothing but that.
It sounds ridiculous.
Dating, hook up and get your back blown out. That wasn't a thing.
I've always told this to my daughter. I've told this to my son. You date with the intent to marry. So you don't date girls or boys if you're not going to marry them. So if that's not your intent, I can put a simple Simon. You always end up marrying who you date at the end. So don't start dating someone that doesn't have your same value set, that doesn't have your same life goals or your same things, because you start to compromise. You start to like either you're male
Well,
or female.
first of all,
Start to
I
sell
would
it.
say it's different for men and for women. It's not the same. I think men
Okay.
need experience with women.
For women.
They do.
For women, it's very different. Women,
Yeah.
we know if they have even 5 sexual partners before their husband, that they have an 80% more chance of getting divorced from their husband. So they lose the ability to pair bond. For women, sex is inherently there's an emotional component there. It's not the same for men. And women don't
No,
want a man who's a virgin. Women
They
want a
don't.
man who's confident, has experience, is
No woman.
They don't want
Sally,
the 10. They don't want the 2 pump and done. Come on.
Yeah, they don't want
just-
to pump chump. Now, Sally, let me ask you this. If you speak for all the
Okay.
women out there, do women want what men want in women, which is young, fresh looking virgin?
No.
Is that, said
Oh.
no woman
Right.
ever. Right?
I've always been attracted
Well,
to
with
older
no
men.
money. With no money, right? Because
No,
Bronca,
of
if he's
course
18,
not.
he's fucking broke, right?
Correct.
An 18-year-old dude is
Correct.
fucking
He's not-
broke. He has no value.
No, I want stability. I will never lie about this. And I don't mean rich. I've got to have this because I live a very simple life. I want emotional stability,
you
not
want-
like, but I
you
want
want a
him
man
to
with
be educated.
resources,
I want him to
right?
work hard. I want him to be strong. I want him to care about me. But I want him older. I want him past his play days, because I always assume the guys are going to play till they're probably 30. That's what they're going to do. And when I say play, they're going to
stretch
probably
that now.
have
We-
sex. They're going to do other things. I'm attracted to older men, but
So,
they're
Sally,
a certain
what
age.
Bronca-
That was my point. The younger girls should not be dating men their own
They
age.
shouldn't be dating
anyway.
No.
women their own
They,
age.
they,
No,
they should
that's what I was
they
saying.
should be keeping themselves reasonably
Wholesome.
pure. And when they're ready to get into a relationship, they should be looking at guys probably 10, 12, 15 years older
Yep.
than them.
Yep. Because Bronca, think about it. If years from now, your daughters are both sitting there, right? Your younger daughters, and let's say they're both, 22, right? And the guy who's talking to them is 35. And both of them have great so you can see, right? This is a guy who's on his game, blah, blah, blah. And he's dating with purpose, right? Like, hey, this guy wants to get married to your daughters, right? Do you see how much
And he's
easier that
talking.
is?
He's talking to me. He's sitting across the table
Yep.
from me. Well, then there's something there, because
There's something
I'm not
there.
an easy guy to talk to.
Yep. And you're like sizing him up. You're thinking like, let's see what kind of dude he is. And all you can do at the end of the dinner is go like this. I mean, what do you want me to say? I like the guy. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is a good option.
So apparently I have daddy issues. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Crest bless. I want you to tell me what girl in this society does not have daddy issues.
By the way, daddy issues is a plus. It's not a negative.
Yeah,
That's a
we
plus.
like that. We like that. I like
No,
daddy
yeah,
issues.
you can have daddy issues and you can know who you are. When I say I'm naive, I don't mean like naive as far as my life experiences, the way I grew up. I grew up with a dad that cheated on my mom, that gave her sexual diseases. I grew up with a dad that I watched beat the shit out of my older brothers and beat the shit out of my mom. I grew up in a house where I got the shit beat out of me by older brothers. I therefore moved out and lived with my sister at 12. Right? I still have this naive, innocent that life is going to be good, and that just sometimes shit happens to people in life. I moved out when I was 17. I worked from the time I was 16. I was an electrician. I would work in the summer from 7 in the morning till 9 at night. So when I say I'm naive about the world, I mean I'm naive about the external world of Utah
You're
on this
naive
religion.
culturally, more culturally. Now,
Correct.
I will say this
I
though.
know how the world works,
So
but I don't
Sally,
understand these other things.
none of the things that
Sally.
you did are things you should have done. Yeah, more girls are freezing their eggs. Like you shouldn't have been doing those things. See, that's the thing. Like even though you did them, right? And yeah, it made you a better person. But like
You
you
wouldn't want
understand-
that for your daughter,
Yeah,
right?
you wouldn't want her doing
No.
that shit. You
Right.
see, like
No.
that's what guys are trying to say. Every hardship dudes go through, when guys go get surgeries, they go, you know what I'm saying, your body
Yeah.
breaks down. You got fired from a job, you're tired, you're broke. Every struggle a dude rejection. Every
Yeah.
single struggle makes the
Yeah.
guy better. Because
Yes,
he
it
adapts
does.
in real time. So it's like, so
Yeah.
by the time you
better.
meet him, yeah,
because no one's saving him. His woman's
Sally,
not going to come and hold him up. That's not a thing.
Sally,
I guess
there's
my thing
no
is I was
safety
never
net.
been poor me. So people don't know my story because I'm just like, oh, look, I had this horrible life and I made these choices because these things happened to me. I experienced these things. I'm better for it. I've learned that people can be this way. So I'm going to try to surround myself with good people. Right. So it's not a poor me thing, but yes, I think hardship is good. And I wish I didn't have to go through it, but it does make me more like a guy where I'm very frugal with my money. I've lived in my car. I paid for my own way to go to college. But it's not poor me. Oh, look at me. I did these wonderful things. No, I understand the world. My goal is to have my son find someone happy, and he might not in this country or in this time frame. I don't know, but that's my goal. And when I talk to men like this, and when I'm saying I'm naive about the world, I really don't know these things. I always assume the best in people because I don't care where you've been. What?
Bronca.
What?
Don't do that.
You can. What do I do?
No,
I always
Sally.
do.
No, don't do that.
That's where I get screwed over. I know that's why.
No, they never do. See, now this is not us knocking you for it. Oh, Bronca.
No, you be honest. I don't care. I like criticism.
Bronca doesn't know he's muted.
Mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, you should treat everyone politely until they've, shown that they don't deserve to be treated politely. But don't assume the best. People are horrible.
Never.
People are just human beings.
They're fucking horrible. Most people are. Think about this though. Think about all the people who've ever betrayed you, Bronca, talk shit behind your back, done something terrible to you.
Well, that's like everybody all day. I take shit all day.
It's all
day.
Sally, this goes to what Bronca was saying earlier. It goes, men have to fight the world.
Yes.
Like it is very rare that's why if you notice, Bronca, men don't have very many friends. You ever notice that? Dudes don't, we don't do those. Oh, it's just me and all my boys going. No. Dudes have very few friends because there's very few people that you can actually put in your foxhole. So when we do get them, this is the reason why I've always said, women, y'all don't have friends. You have competition. You guys don't have any fucking friends.
I must have been a boy. I think I was a boy at one time. I have 2 girlfriends I've had since 20, and that's it.
But here's the thing, though. That's not normal. Because
I
when you
know.
go around, most chicks, their girlfriends are always like fucking interchangeable. Oh, I'm my besties, and then like 8 months later, Bronca, do you know how sad the female experience is? I've always said this, if you were to set up a surprise party for any female, right? You have to actually make sure they're still cool with the other women in their life, right? You can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm just inviting these people. Because day to day, they may be besties to worst enemies overnight. It has never happened to a dude in history. Never.
And then besties the week after, because that's how women are.
A lot of men do that too, though, I have to say. So just superficially, so there's this complex of law tuber personalities, right? I don't want to name any names, but there's maybe 20 or 30 or whatever, however many are. And a bunch of them will put together I'll make something up. Friday night friendly law tubers group, right? They'll all do a group thing. I don't get invited to those things because I'm a disagreeable person. So when I hear someone say something I don't think is true, I'll contest them on it. And people don't like that. They get defensive. So I find myself not included in those groups, which is fine because I know I'm a disagreeable person. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all.
He's like, laugh.
It just doesn't matter. But the friends I have are friends I've typically had for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I don't have a superficial group of friends.
Yep.
They know you
and we're friends because we trust each other on our merits,
Yep.
not for superficial reasons. They know I'm an asshole, so they've accepted me for that a long time ago. But I'm
you
an
don't
asshole
hide
they
it.
can trust. I'm an asshole they can trust.
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
important
Bronca,
among
it's
men.
funny you say that. That doesn't get talked about enough. Is that they, I don't know if you know this, Sally. Like, men do not have frenemies. If we legitimately don't like you as a person, we aren't cool with you.
We won't
we don't-
associate with you.
We don't associate with you. Women
Oh, I
have
know, because I
chicks
tell
that they fucking
I know.
bicker and hate, and it's like, wait, so do you like this person? Or you hate this person? Like, Bronca, have you ever seen that with females? You had sisters, so you knew they would talk so bad about certain girls. You're like, and then they would get there. You're like sitting there looking like, so is this your friend or do you hate this girl? You said you want to set her on fire. Like, where do you guys stand? Dudes don't have this. Like, Sally, there's never a point where a guy's like, I fucking hate Bronca. Bronca's this, that, and the other, and then like get on the stream like, yo, Bronca, my boy.
No,
what's
you're
up?"
making me laugh because my son, I'm like, why hasn't so-and-so been over? He's like, well, he did this. He's an asshole. I'm done with it. I'm like, well, why don't you just talk to him, work it out? He's like, Mom, I hate it. I'm like, oh, then that was like guy thing. Guys are different. And I'm glad he does it. You stab me, we're done.
For guys, for
It's
me,
good.
at least for
Survival.
me, integrity is really important. So I need
Yeah.
to have trust in someone's decision making. And if they're gonna act, I was gonna say if they're gonna act like a woman, but there's a woman on the panel, so I probably shouldn't say that.
You can tell me. I don't get offended by that.
If they're gonna act in a kind of
Beta?
I don't know, beta way and
Yeah.
just say things that are popular at the time that they don't really believe in, or go on witch hunts, popular witch hunts against someone who's been accused of some kind of misconduct and flimsy evidence. I don't need to associate with those people. I don't want to. I want to. I have very limited free time in my life. I want to associate with men I respect, who I think are honorable, who I think make the right decisions. Maybe not all the time, but 99% of the time. If someone says, this guy made this call, how do you feel about that? Unless I hear otherwise, I'm going to trust that call because I trust that guy's judgment. If I can't trust his judgment, what the fuck is he?
You're trusting to do the right thing in a certain situation. You're trusting to do the right thing under a certain set of circumstances and not stab you or other people.
And years ago, we would have said you can trust a man by his handshake, right? Well, why is that? You're not trusting the handshake. You're trusting the man behind the handshake.
Yeah.
Those are the relationships I want with other men, not because they have 400,000 subscribers on YouTube or whatever. I don't give a shit about that. I want to be in relationships with men that I can trust.
Let me to another channel. I will say this though, Bronca. I was thinking about this the other day. Is when we talk about back in the day with your word was bond. I think about a time when like I know you're a lawyer, but like one of the things that I grew up with was like we resented lawyers not because you were a lawyer, but because what like the law represented, right? Like Sally and I make an agreement rather than that being the agreement. The fact that we live in a society where you need lawyers. You see what I'm saying? Like, rather than people just being like, my word, because remember, Brock, there was a time your word was bond. Like prime example. I called in tonight. Sally knows this, even though they messed up the order, but shout out to Go for Bar. I love you guys. I called tonight, Bronca. I left work, called to get Coney's, right? Because I got to work tomorrow. Now, think about this. These people have to just assume that I am truthful to my word, that I'm going to come in and pick up the food and give them their money. Otherwise, they wasted food, right? This is a place that only accepts cash. You see what I'm saying? They're that kind of people, right? Like Jews like that. So my thing is this, because they've seen me before. And so I walk in, hey, man, what's up, brother? Like, it's just one of those things where like, look, man, I come from an era, a period in time where like that was normal. See, nowadays, Bronca, and you know this, everything has to be like all this fucking paperwork because shit, I mean, this person, you can't trust nothing anyone says. You should be able to call somebody and say, I'm going to come pick up this food. And they know, yes. You remember, Sally, they didn't ask for my name. They aren't like, hey, what's your name? They just know.
Yeah. I think something just clicked. Something just clicked, and I'll let you go. Hold on. Something just really clicked. So I think this, what you're talking about is your word is your bond, probably started when we started having separate families, right? So you start having a dad that didn't show up for his visitation, or a mom that didn't show up for her visitation, right? And so they were constantly like breaking their commitment, not being there. And those are the main people that should be showing up for their kids. I know that even like with my kids and stuff, I would never, hey mom, you promised that you're going to do this. Is no, I will not promise you this because I cannot guarantee you it'll happen. So when I would promise them and something was going to happen, it was a promise. So when I said those things, they knew it was going to happen. Like it would take a death for it not to happen. And I think this is part of the whole nuclear split part. And I could be wrong, that we were used to taught that your word is your bond. You follow through with commitments. And I think having parents back and forth, slipping on their commitments, slipping on what they're supposed to be doing. I don't know. You guys could tell me if I'm catching
but your
something.
word is your
operate.
bond. Your word is your bond only works when there's shame. Because if there's no shame, there's no reason not to break your bond.
Yep.
Why would you give a shit? If it's your interest not to pay back the debt you owe. The only thing that compels you to do that, if not the law, if not the lawyers and the contracts, is shame. So once you lose shame, that's why suddenly you need contracts and lawyers.
Yes. Yeah, you know, Sally, think about it. In a nutshell, is that not what catfishing is? Because Bronca, do you remember the days long before there was fucking internet bullshit? Okay, you couldn't catfish because remember, this kind of goes to what Sally was saying. When you had a smaller community, to do something that you misrepresented yourself, you were ostracized because once again, shame. Nowadays, because Bronca, this kind of goes to something that you've talked about. It's something I've talked about. The reason why people are tough guys on the internet,
you were known. So if you decided to be the Village Bicycle, everybody knew you were the Village Bicycle, right?
And
it doesn't mean they wouldn't keep riding you, but
we're gonna take a ride. Like if we've heard that you as the Village Bicycle really do, you can really put in work. You got some tricks. You can pop wheelies. We're gonna take you for a ride. But the issue is that Brock, I started thinking about this. When it comes to just anything, right? It's like if someone says, "Hey, if Sally asked me to be on a show," when I say yeah, it's yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I give like a rough time estimate. Like, oh, hey, I'm getting off work at this time. So, there's a little gap where, whatever, right? But the yes is always yes. You see what I'm saying? It's always yes. And what I started noticing is that in this internet space, and Sally, you've seen this. This is where you got all these texting tough guys and you have fake friends. Oh, Sally, we're actually really good besties. And then like weird shit happens behind the scenes. Yep, the knives come out. And Bronca, I don't do that. Like when people ask me, I always give such effusive praise about Sally, about you, and I tell these people, I go, no, these are the people that like these are the people that I love seeing in person. When I saw Bronca, like that was of all the people I've like met in person over probably the past decade, Bronca was one of those people because I had heard about him through Nick, and he goes, "Oh, Drex, you got to meet this guy. You love him." And so there was like a buildup. But we never got to physically be in the same place. I was like, God, I just wish I could just meet Bronca like physically in person because there's a different vibe. So when you finally do it, it's like, finally, you know what I'm saying? Like, finally we meet in person.
Okay, I have someone. So we're going to end this show really quick, but I want to continue this conversation. But I don't know how to say your name. I am crediblist. I don't even know. Hey, you said, hey boys, ask Sally what she wants to talk about. And give her time. This is what I want to talk about. I had these guys on here because I'm a female. I have a son. I have a daughter. I am naive with the external world because I've lived sheltered, even though I know a lot. So this is what I want to talk about. And if it wasn't, I wouldn't ask these guys on because I know them. I know how their mind works. And I am interested in this. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry. But I do need to end because Drex has to work in the morning. I'm sure you do too. And I had a long day as well, but I do want to say thanks to my guests, and I appreciate the honesty, and I appreciate. I always want you to be blunt. Like I know that you're really good at softening it because I'm here, and I do appreciate that. But your knowledge is important to me, and it's not just for me. I guarantee you, there's someone out there that needs to hear this, and not just men, but men. You need to hear this too. You need to be You need to become someone that a woman wants. And also women, learn from these guys. They're telling you how to be. They're telling you
it's not that hard.
It's not. It's simple.
It really isn't. Like Sally, think of it like this though. If Brock and I sat there, we did like a co-stream. We were like this. Ladies, this is how to get a man. This is how to keep a man. And Brock, do you notice we could have no script. We would come up with the same fucking things, right? Like, so if a woman walks in and goes, Bronca, how do I show genuine? How does a guy know that I'm actually interested in him? We would say the same thing. Fucking cook for him.
Listen, I've got 2 young daughters. One of them's 12. She's getting ready to start dating eventually.
Yeah.
I have these conversations with her. I'm like, listen, social media exists. This is what you'll be subject to. This is the influence you'll face. These are the options you'll have. I
Yep.
can't control what you decide to do, but I can tell you the consequences of what you
Yes.
decide to do.
Consequences.
And I want you to be prepared to make an informed decision. If you end up going out and being a whore, well, then you made that informed choice. I wouldn't
There's
recommend it,
consequences.
but
Yeah.
or you can pick the path like your mother picked, who gets to stay home every day, keep a house, have zero financial concerns for her whole life, go on great vacations, have nice jewelry. You know, I mean, that's a path too.
Bronco, do you ever show
without
her
having to
the
be a
other
whore.
side? Do you ever show your daughter like physically show? Because like my daughter is at that age now where I'm going to start physically showing her in terms of like, let me show you the women who bought the lie, right? Who bit the apple.
I haven't yet. She's 12, so
Mhm.
I think she's a little bit young for it, but it's not far off.
Yep. Yeah, because my daughter's birthday is coming fairly soon, and like she's at that age now where I can look and go like,
And
this.
it's easy,
Okay,
right?
teen
It's
years.
just TikTok videos of 30-year-old women.
Yeah,
right?
like look,
Desperately
like, sweetie,
lonely, in
this
debt,
is literally where it
poverty-ridden,
ends.
no
Yeah,
partner,
like
no children.
no kids. Like look at the women who are working their asses off, right? Like working, and they go like this. What do they actually have?
For what?
Though?
For
Nothing.
what? They
What do
always say they have
nothing.
careers. They don't have careers. They have jobs they could be fired from for an instant.
Do your daughters know what sex is? Like, do either of your daughters know what sex is at the 12?
Yeah, kids know.
My
that.
daughter never saw a sex scene until she was 12, and she was embarrassed because I asked her. She's like, when I asked her if she knew what sex was when we went to her maturation thing, I asked her. I said, "Do you know what sex is?" And she's like, she got bright red and started crying. She's like, "No, Mom, I don't know what sex is." Like she was embarrassed. I'm like, "That's a good thing." Like, okay, when you're ready. I'm being very sincere. No, I'm being very sincere.
No. Here's the thing. I'm glad she had that reaction because Bronca, you know how we used to get access to all these things. I was watching Skinamax at 8. Because remember, dudes' brains are just wired differently.
I didn't have cable.
I was working in the diesel shop when I was like 12 years old. There were Playboys and penthouses everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I got access to those when I was, I think I was 10. I think I want to say 10 or 11. And before that, it was JCPenney catalogs from my mom. And I mean, I dreamt about the shit. I mean, as a boy, Bronca, what was better than a JCPenney catalog?
Millions of years of evolutionary biology, my friend. That's what we're wired to do.
They're wired that way. It's like, and this is the thing. I will say this though, is that like, Sally, I think that we've gotten to a point where like, I think all of us go like this. We may have different experiences, but like all of us actually have like the same basic viewpoint in terms of like, where is the source of the problem, the source for the solution, right?
Yeah.
The family, of course. But it's like this. We want people, and I always say this, to fucking win. Look, I've seen losses. I mean, Bronca, I know you've seen losers in life, right? Actual losers. Did they go the drug route? They go the hoe route? They go the thug route? Did they go the fucking, 4-time divorce guy? I've actually seen what a literal cuck looks like. I talked to Sally about this. An actual fucking cuck. Bronca, when you see this shit in real life, it's not like funny. It's like you're like, this is fucking sad, bro. Like, you're really like just being
it's terrible. And listen, I'll be the first person to say I've been the loser. I mean, I had a bad 13-year first marriage, 2 kids out of that. They're both traumatized by coming out of a failed marriage. It was no joy for me. Now, fortunately, I have an unbelievably ecstatic second marriage, but that first marriage was like a 13-year prison sentence, as I've talked about. So in that sense, I'm a loser too. I chose poorly for my first marriage. But I don't want other people to have to go through that. Learn from our lessons. Don't make the same mistakes.
Well, and this is what like, especially for guys, this
be me in my second marriage. Just jump right into that. Do that.
Well, Sally, I look at your son, right? What if guys like Bronca and I were talking like this to your son, especially if we were off camera? We could be much more brutal, right?
Yeah.
Without censorship. Dudes like your son would kind of look at us like, what? God damn. But here's the thing though. Our words would be reinforced by his reality, right? Because now you said now he's already had think about it. Bronca, if I would have had a girlfriend at 16 who sent naughty pics to my best friend, that would have fundamentally changed me. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, no, it would be traumatizing.
It'd be
right?
traumatizing. Like, what the fuck?
Especially since he saw the pictures on her phone that she sent him. Like he saw the
Right.
pictures that she sent him.
Oh,
So,
that's
like that's what's
No,
worse. Is
you're a young man. You think you're in perfect love, and it turns
Yep.
out she's a whore.
Oh, he was a lot. He was like, I still love her, mom. I'm like, get
Yeah,
over it.
Right?
Get
it's-
over it.
Get over it.
But it was his first. You know, it was like
Right.
it broke
Yeah,
him.
Yeah, it's something that like I mean, like even to Bronca's point, the Bronca of marriage number 2 is a completely different person because of
Yep.
his loser status.
Yeah.
I remember going through the family court.
No, and when I
as
went
a
into my
single father.
second marriage, I talked with my now wife, of course, but before we got married, I told her, listen, these are the things that happened in my first marriage that are never going to happen
They're
again.
never gonna happen again.
They're
Yep.
never going to happen again. So
It'd be
let me tell you what
fine.
they are to make sure these don't happen. Because if they happen, I'll be out the door like that.
Yep.
And,
Now,
and of course,
Sally,
they've
this
never
goes back to
happened.
what I said earlier, though. This makes us better. See, our L's makes us better.
Yes.
Do you know what L's are for a woman? Getting ran through. She had to sell the box in order to pay bills. See, so when women get traumatized, when they go through adversity, it's terrible. You
It's
see
just
the difference?
damage.
They become damaged. So as a dude, you're like,
Men
yeah,
get
I guess I'll
stronger.
smash.
Oh,
Like
okay.
this is what so when we try to tell women,
It's
so women go,
victimhood mentality, pretty much. So either, and I think guys and girls do this too. It's the victimhood mentality of poor me, right? You guys, and if you're not a victim, things happen and you become stronger. It's mostly men that have this
Right.
ability,
well, because we
and
don't have
a
a
few
safety net.
outliers of women. Right? What was
Yes.
that?
So one of the main reasons why guys behave in a certain way, we don't have a safety net.
No one saves us.
No one.
Right.
Sally, there's no
Yeah.
welfare check. We can't go, well, I just have a baby by somebody. No. We take the responsibility.
There's no men's shelters.
There's no men's shelter. There's nothing for you.
There is one in Utah.
Yeah,
One. How many women's shelters?
I don't know, because I was going
Too
to
many.
therapy in a women's shelter because I thought it was all women's, and when I saw men there, because I was going through an ordeal that was like a big deal, and so I would need some therapy, and I almost was like traumatized at that. Not that I don't like men, but I just wasn't, the expectation of a man being there wasn't what I was expecting. So I was just like,
Well, your expectation is right. There's virtually no men's shelters.
There's no.
well, yeah, but then that
There's
was the first time.
nothing.
That was the first time that I'd realized that men. I was like, why are there men here? Like I thought this was for abuse therapy, and she's like,
for real
well, she said-
humans.
no, but what she said to me, she's like, do you have any clue the number of men who are beaten by their wives? Do you know the amount of men who are abused that don't, because they're too ashamed to talk about it?
It's
Do you
the
have
same
any
amount,
clue?
actually. It's the same
Yeah, but
amount.
I had no desire. I had no clue because I didn't know these things. So it was just women. But anyway, yeah, no, there's not. I only know of one. Period. I just killed the
Sorry, Greg.
conversation.
No, I was responding in the comments. There was someone reminded me
Oh.
of a dude who had fucking beta male rage, mad black atheist, who went full nuclear on Nick for no reason.
Oh, whatever.
you're
Due to his own insecurity. Like he thought Nick said something about him when he didn't, and Nick's like,
Okay, you put that in
in
this chat. I could post it in the other chat.
Yeah. I
Every
remember that
time I
dude.
see some dude go crazy on Nick, it's always some beta guy.
it
crazy.
never fails. I literally just talked to Nick, so shout out to my
There's
brother.
nothing Nick has ever. I've known the guy not as long as Drex, but for I don't know 4 or 5 years. There's nothing I've ever seen Nick done that should bother any male who's not a beta male.
Yeah, it's but this is how these dudes are conditioned, man. When you and I will say
They're
this,
emotive. They respond emotionally. They respond like it's all about
always
them, right?
emotion.
Like it's a personal thing. It's very
They
feminine.
were raised by single mothers who are emotional.
I
I
think
didn't
so.
realize
I think you're right. I think you're
They're
right.
raised
It
by-
is.
Mad Black Atheist
was.
was these when you bump into the dudes who are raised by single. And I will say this though, it's actually sad for the girls though, Bronca, because imagine being a girl and you're looking for husband material.
And that's
Aren't
what
you-
you have.
They're looking around like, damn, these dudes are
So,
more
Drex,
feminine than me.
You ever been punched in your face by someone
Yep.
angry with you? You're right. Me too.
Yep.
You know what? If you've had that experience and then the alternative is someone says mean words about you on the internet, does that matter?
Yeah. It's the reason why, like,
I mean, who cares?
I don't do cancel culture and all that kind of shit. Like, when I hear people like this, I'm like, yeah, you've never been punched in the fucking face. Like, Bronca, you and I both know all of these anonymous internet trolls, right? Who make up all kinds of stuff and talk real
Yeah,
tough.
the 23 follower accounts.
Yeah.
the numerical
They wouldn't
handle.
do shit in person. In fact, Sally, when I was in Nashville and met Bronca, I had actually posted my location because there were people who said they're going to delete me. Yeah, they didn't delete me. Shocker. right? They
Yeah.
talk big, they talk tough, they're going to do all these things. These people have never actually done a fucking thing in their life. They've never been in a fight. They've never actually made any real money. They never traveled anywhere. They're just losers. See, to Bronk and I, losers it's like a temporary like holding cell. Like, all right, we're losing right now, but we're going to be winning. These guys, it is a state of being. That's just what they are. They are losers.
And the sad thing is, half of them. I don't like to be mean, but let's be real. The sad thing is, half of them do not realize it. Right? There's some that do know and they feel that way, and there's some that just think that this is normal. Either their mom allowed them to be this way. Like I told my son, I didn't raise you to be a loser. You will have a job within 2 weeks. You don't get to hang out here. I mean, you're gonna have a break because you just graduated, but you got to have a job in 2 weeks. I didn't raise you to be a loser. I raised you to be somebody. And someone needs to tell those kids, you're only a loser if you allow yourself to be one.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think, I guess I would put it differently. I think these beta dudes, they know they're losers, but their response is to stay
Tear
there.
people down. Yeah, they have to. So,
they stay where they are and they attack others. That's different than a guy who is in a bad spot and digs himself out. Those are two fundamentally different people.
Yeah,
it's the mindset. Think about it. You to Bronco's point, both of us can be broke, right? We're both broke. It is the mentality that gets us out of that whole broke, because then it becomes a state. Like, do you ever notice every guy who used to be broke? Bronco, I remember having $0 in my bank account, right? It actually said 0.00.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, me too.
I remember when it said negative. I remember being like broke. I used to way back in college when Nick was with Lady Rackets. I was sleeping on Nick's floor, right? So I'm sleeping on Nick's floor. I remember I've slept in cars before. I know what it's like to be broke, as in nothing, right?
Nothing.
And to your point,
I used to live on 30 cents worth of food a day.
Ooh. Hey, Brocky, do you know what's crazy? Is other than like a cookie, to this day, you won't really see me deal with peanut butter, because I used when I was so broke, I was I was eating I remember it was Skippy honey roasted crunchy peanut butter. It was an orange jar, and I had apple jelly. I was eating PB&J sandwiches. I mean, just smashing them, right?
I'm right there with you, man. I ate crepes. I was a poor kid in Belgium at the time, but
oh wow,
I ate crepes. Crepes sound fancy, right? For most people, they sound fancy. And in Belgium, that's just poverty food. I ate crepes for 2 years, every meal.
Yep.
My grandmother always said, if you're poor and you're tight on food, she said you need bread, peanut butter, and jelly, and you will survive.
Yeah, and what's it called? Spaghetti was another food. It's the broke kid food. Like all those experiences in college, though, the amount that it changed me, like fundamentally changed me. And so now I look back on, like I said, I improved. When girls start struggling, and what did you see? All right, time to start an OnlyFans. They'll start getting damaged. Or, hey, Bronca, let me go find a sugar daddy. Everything that will happen, they're going to trade on what they have of value, and it's
a different threshold. I think that's important too. So, for at least in my experience, it sounds like in your experience, I'm like, well, what's the worst you can do to me? Are you going to beat me down to the point where I'm eating ramen and crepes again? Because I've been there, and I survived it, and I dug out again. All right, beat me back there. I'll dig out again. That's what I'll do. But
I don't know.
A lot of women get stuck at their highest setting. So they get to a level where they're getting the eyelashes and the nails and all that other shit. And they seem incapable of resetting down. Yep. So if they're spending $200 a month on nails and something threatens their ability to maintain that, they won't accept a reduction in lifestyle. They'll go on OnlyFans.
Yep.
But because women cannot reset their lifestyle.
Sally, Chris Rock actually talks about that. He said women won't regress in lifestyle, men won't regress sexually. And if you look at the behavior of both, Like I'll have to send it to you when we go off the stream.
Maybe that's why.
It's
Maybe
great.
that's why I never seek a higher lifestyle, because I'm comfortable with where I am, and I don't want to get used to this big, huge house that I have to maintain and go down to small. So I'm comfortable
Yep.
in this 2,000 square foot house. I have a garden. It's easy to clean. I'm okay with it. Like I don't seek a bigger house. I would like more land because I like to be outside. I like to garden and stuff, but I don't. And I'm saying that that's what's women is they've got their priorities messed up. And when you're talking about like kids and family, it's like it shouldn't be about my lifestyle. Everything should be about the kids until they're
it should
gone.
be more communal. It should be more communal. Like when
Yeah.
I'm one of the things I've noticed, Bronk, I'm sure you've seen guys who travel certain places a lot, but they make no connections. That's a red flag to me. Like man to man, that's a red flag because I'm like, how the fuck have you been all these places that you don't know nobody, nowhere? You have no connections. That's suspicious. These are the kind of dudes that go to look for lady boys. You see what I'm saying? They're those types.
Right.
Bronca, you know the type of dude that goes like this. Bronca, I just got back from Thailand for the 13th time. You're like, oh, hey, man, I'm thinking about going. I'm checking my wife. Hey, can you give us like some ideas of places to go? They just look at you like, hey, what's a good restaurant?
I know that
finish
men
your
of
finish your
quality-
statement, then we're going to end. So
All right,
Sure. Men of quality tend to attract each other like magnets. So there's low quality men, there's medium quality men, there's high quality men, and it's kind of a Brownian motion. It's like a soup of
birds of
guys
feather flock together.
moving around. But when the high quality men meet each other, they tend to stick.
All right, because bro, you said you had to go to bed like 20 minutes ago.
Now
and
we're going.
I know both of you have to work, but I'm just like I want to continue these conversations, and not because I don't know the answers, and I like being able to ask these questions, and I like you guys being honest. And so, with that said, guys, I am going to not even grift because I'm going to go to bed too. But I'm going to
Take
say,
care, brother.
good night,
Take care,
end
Sally.
this in
Peace
3,
out, Bronca.
Bye-bye.
2, 1.